2012 Common Council. Are we ready? Is now in session. The Reverend Captain Fred Preston with the invocation.
Good evening, everyone. Would you bow your heads? Gracious and kind Heavenly Father, we thank you for your love and your kindness. We thank you for your divine presence here this evening. We welcome you here. Oh God, just take control of everything that's said or done. Bless this council. Bless the president. Bless our mayor. Oh God, bless every member of this council. Oh God, give them what to do and how to do it. You said in all thy ways acknowledge you, and you shall direct our path. And Father, we're looking for you to direct every member of this council what they decide to do, the decision that let them make the right decision. Oh God, in the name of Jesus we pray, and we thank you for everyone here. Bless everyone now under the sound of my voice. Oh God, take control of this council meeting right now. In Jesus' name we pray. Let everyone say thank God. Thank God. Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Getting up pretty busy. Think everybody's up? Yep, she's rolling. Mr. Vorty, will you read the roll, please?
Mr. Scott. Present. Mr. Henry Davis.
Henry here.
Mrs. Shea.
Here.
Dr. Furlick.
Here.
Dr. Varner.
Present.
Vice President Oliver Davis.
Present.
Councilmember White.
Present.
Mr. Furlick.
Here.
President Dieters.
Present, Mr. Vorty.
9 present.
Thank you. May I have the report from the subcommittee on minutes? Subcommittee on minutes report?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I believe it's right behind you.
There we go. Thank you. To the Common Council of the City of South Bend, the subcommittee has inspected the minutes of the January 23rd, 2012 organizational meeting of the council and found them to be correct. Therefore, we recommend the same be approved. Signed, Derek Dieter, David Varner.
Make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion to second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition to that? Seeing none. Under special business, we have the swearing in of citizen members serving on the standing committees of the South Bend Common Council. I will turn it over to our council attorney.
This evening, the City Council is making history. This is the first time that 64 individuals applied and considered for applications to sit on one of the 10 council standing committees that have citizen members. Mr. Vorty will soon be calling each one of the individuals. 13 individuals so far have been selected, and I think reflective of how interested the citizenry is of the City of South Bend to get involved with your local government. So you all should be saluted.
We'll do this by the committee for which they were assigned or chosen. And for the Community and Economic Development Committee, I wonder if Zachary Raymond and Patricia Crowley would come up.
And we'll have the chairperson of each of the committees that selected the individuals standing with them.
Very good. Councilman Henry Davis, Chairman of the Community and Economic Development Committee. Those of you who are being sworn in, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States the Constitution of the State of Indiana, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of a citizen member of the Community and Economic Development Committee. So help me God. Congratulations. And now the Community Relations Committee would be James Lee and James Byrne.
And Valerie Shea is the third district council member that chairs that committee.
Okay, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, James Lee,
Do solemnly swear I will support the Constitution of the United States
do solemnly swear to support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and the Constitution of the United States,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and will faithfully discharge the duties
of a citizen member of the Community Relations Committee.
of the Community Relations Committee.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Vorty, my citizen member is out of the country, and she would need to be sworn in at a later date.
We're going to do Health and Public Safety Committee chaired by Dr. Fred Turley. And the citizen members chosen are Kyle Chamberlain and Marcus Ellison.
Marcus is already sworn in. How'd that happen?
Okay, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Chamberlain, do solemnly swear I will support the Constitution of the United States. Do solemnly swear I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Indiana. And the Constitution of the State of Indiana. And that I will faithfully discharge the duties. And that I will faithfully discharge the duties of a citizen member of the Health and Public Safety Committee. Of a citizen member of the Health and Public Safety Committee. So help me God. So help me God.
Kevin?
Oh, need a member. I believe they've already been sworn in, or they will be.
Oh, you got Parks person.
Wait, is that here?
Mazurkowitz.
I'm sorry, John, I thought you were coming there earlier.
Do solemnly swear I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Indiana, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of a citizen member of the Parks, Recreation, Cultural Arts, and Entertainment Committee.
Entertainment, cultural arts, and entertainment committee.
Personnel and Finance Committee.
Mr. Vorty, I had to make it sure.
Residential Neighborhood. That would be Jennifer Kindell and Kenneth Bradford.
chaired by First District Councilmember Tim Scott.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, do solemnly swear I will support the Constitution of the and the Constitution of the State of Indiana, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of a citizen member of the residential neighborhood. Facilities Committee. We have Dawn Pontius and Christine Kupczynski.
Oh, wow.
Raise your right hand. Do solemnly swear I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Indiana, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of a citizen member of the Utilities Committee. So help me God.
Thank you, Clerk Brewer. Let's go to 1207, please.
A resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, publicly honoring the Washington High School boys football team for a truly memorable 2011-2012 season.
I would like to ask the members that came out from the school, if you guys want to come up and stand up here with me, I would very much appreciate it.
You can roll your sleeves down.
Really quick, this is one of those bittersweet moments for me because what happens is that I'm a LaSalle grad, 97. So you guys are like our arch nemesis and stuff, so it's one of those deals. But I think it's a great deal that these quality student athletes have, reached the pinnacle of playing ball at the state level for state championship. Their school, which lies in the 2nd District, which I'm very, very proud of. And I would like to also add that over the last few years, we've heard a lot of negative things about Washington High School, how they weren't achieving, how they weren't excelling, how they were just not matching up to the measurements of the state. And right now, we're just looking at some gentlemen that have disproved and dispelled some of those negative advertisements about the school. So I think that is more of a round of applause rather than the United States. And so, under the leadership, obviously, Mr. George McCullum, the principal, and as well as Ms. Phillips and all the other administrators over there, we've just had a really good time in making sure that Washington High School becomes the high school, a flagship high school for the city of South Bend, and they did this past fall. So, I'm gonna read resolution, 414712. And I also like to honor, Ms. Janice, Talbot, who happened to be a Washington High School grad and who happened to put this paperwork together. So I think she took great pride in getting this done as well. Let me begin. A resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, publicly honoring the Washington High School boys football team for a truly memorable 2011-2012 season. Whereas the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, proudly recognizes the 2011-2012 Washington High School boys football team, who went from 0-10 records in 2007-2008 to represent our great city in the first state finals IHSAA Class 4A game in Indianapolis since 1973. And whereas the Panthers' electrified season included a regular season record of 6-3, with the team going on to decisively win all 3 sectional and the regional and semi-state games. And whereas the South Bend Common Council notes that the Washington High School is guided by School Superintendent Dr. Carol Smith, Principal George McCullough Jr., Assistant Principal Teresa Phillips, and Jeremy Tucker. And the football team is guided by Athletic Director Chris Mathis, Head Coach Antoine Jones, Assistant Coach Jarvis Edison, Jay Johnson, Weston Lambert, Chris Jones Jr., John Christie, Maurice Wilkins Jr., Reggie Brooks, Tony McWilliams, and Joel Bonder. Did I say that correctly? Bonder? Okay. And student managers Brandon Blunt and Isaiah McWilliams. And they, along with their dedicated teachers, provide all student athletes with a diverse, challenging, and enriching education that fosters accountability, respect, and lifelong learning. And whereas the Common Council would like to publicly recognize that the student athletes of the 2011-2012 Washington High School boys football team, namely, now bear with me, now if you're here, gentlemen, step out front for me, please. Jeremiah Johnson, Kelly Colott, Deja Morgan, Garrett Dieter, who is not here, who has gone down to college, and congratulations, President Dieter. Thank you. Toriana Harris, Antoine Avery, Alfonso Mack, Jalonis Horton, Ira White, Sean help me out. Kaplinger, thank you. Kenny Jackson, Howard Davidson, Tyon Belcher, Jonathan Coleman, Darian Harrell, Jason Wilson, Ricardo Ladola, Byron Orvis, Anthony Hall, Jarvis Mitchell, Alex Brooks, David Perkins, Deron Ivory, Matthew Clay, Adam Gonzalez, Houston Anderson, Levi Welch, Alex, help me out, Alex, starts with an E, Uriga, Davion Perkins, Jarvis Mitchell, William Howell Bay, Chad Douglas, Josh Laskowski, Luis Lopez, James Tony, Dontrell Newman, Devontae Hughes, Terrence Bush, Jalen Adams, Francisco Ramirez, Christian Campbell, Stone Lewis, Amani Lee, Derek Williams, Michael Taylor, Dustin Dinnick, LeBron Dale Reed, Ty Thornsberry, I'm tongue tied right now, Brandon Wilkins, Pedro Garcia, Tyler Parrish, Earl Quinn, Enrique Nunez, Austin Traxler, LaFaye Fleming. Now, therefore, let it be resolved by the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, as follows. Section 1. On behalf of all the citizens of the City of South Bend, Indiana, the Common Council congratulates each and every student athlete and entire staff of the 2011-2012 Washington High School's boys football team for a most remarkable and memorable season and for the South Bend community of their enthusiastic support. Section 2. The South Bend Common Council believes that the hard work, discipline, talent, and dedication of each of the student athletes of the 2011-2012 Washington High School boys football team has enabled each of these individuals to be excellent role models for the youth of our city. Each team member has brought the highest honors to himself, his family, Washington High School, the school corporation, and all the residents of the city of South Bend. Section 3. This resolution should be in full force and effect and after its adoption by the council and approval by the mayor. Council, I ask that you accept this with a favorable recommendation, and thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Before we proceed, Coach Jones, would you like to say something?
Yes, I'd just like to thank you guys for recognizing these fine young men. Not only do they excel on the field of athletics, but they also excel in the classroom. They're fine representatives for the city. And we also would like to just thank not only yourselves, but the city for its support that it showed to us this year and helping the guys get down to state and just emotional support throughout the year. Thank you.
Thank you. Have any comments from our council members before we will turn this over to the public?
I'd like to say that we are proud of you. You have made us proud throughout the years. We would like to continue to make us proud. Those of you who are coming back, we'd like for you to continue to be there for us. And those of you who are headed on to college, we wish you the best.
Okay. I would like to say congratulations to Coach Jones and the staff. For those of you that don't coach, it's a very, very difficult and time-consuming job. All these coaches give their time from their families. Some bring their kids with them to practice, which is great. But it's a 365 job, and for what these young men have accomplished is almost unheard of for a team from South Bend to go through the layers of the playoff. It's not like the original or one of the original South Bend Washington teams that won the state championship. There's rounds, there's regionals, semi-states, and these gentlemen did a fantastic job of getting to that plateau and just came up a little short. And I commend all of them. I know a lot of them are going to go on to football careers. I know a lot of them are going to succeed in whatever endeavors that they choose because of the work ethic that the coaches have instilled in them. And I thank all of them and thank the public for stepping up to help provide these guys with a memorable weekend that they had in Indianapolis. So I appreciate that. And now I would ask anyone from the public who would like to speak in favor of this. All right. I don't think there's anyone against it. Council may have a recommendation.
We will accept this by acclamation.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you very much.
I know, it's good for you.
Good job. Good job.
Thin down a little bit. That probably not quite what I wanted.
Yeah, that. What's the date? I was a defensive lawyer and offensive tackle.
Utility?
Looks like
Thanks, Mr. Vorty. Takes us from C to C of tonight's agenda.
Mayor's annual address to the City Council pursuant to Section 2-3.1 of the South Bend Municipal Code.
Thank you. Mayor. Good evening.
Good evening.
Let me begin by echoing the appreciation of the Washington High School football team. We're very proud of these gentlemen who I think we could all learn a lesson from in the community and in city government when it comes to their dedication and their teamwork.
I also want to express my appreciation for all the people who stepped up to be citizen members of our very important committees, and for those who were sworn in today. We really are counting on you to help guide this city in the right way, and so I'm very grateful for your commitment and your time. What we have today is a little bit different from the traditional state of the city. Because I've not been on the job much more than 6 weeks, it seemed premature to do a full State of the City address. So after my 100-day mark, we'll go ahead and do that in April. In the meantime, though, it's important, per the ordinance, that I provide this body, this council, with an update on the general condition and finances of the city. I'll start with the general condition and then work my way up to the finances. It's been a month and a half since we all first took office on January 1st, and while I feel like we just got here, much has already happened since that date. The first order of business for me was to get my team up and running, and I'm pleased to report that we have an excellent staff in place in the mayor's office working hard. Ours is, I believe, the most diverse mayor's office staff in the history of South Bend, and it draws on the talents of both experienced and new public servants. From day one, literally, my office was coordinating with the street department and others to ensure that our snow removal efforts continue to excel and the residents are alerted to local road conditions. In economic development news, a new veterans clinic will be coming to downtown South Bend at the site of the Gates Building, bringing tens of thousands of people to the downtown area and up to 100 jobs to the heart of the city. This move will also save tax money for the city of South Bend relative to our land acquisition plan and help veterans all at the same time. To begin delivering on my commitment to education, I addressed the South Bend School Board, detailing a 5-step approach for more city engagement with the school system, and I visited a number of public schools and classrooms across the city. All of our shared goals, council and administration, depend very much on good engagement with the school system. And I'm pleased to report that there was a very receptive environment at the school corporation on the part of the board and the superintendent for us to continue working together. My office has initiated a full strategic and structural review of the Community and Economic Development Department so that we have the right strategy and structure going forward to collaborate with all the other economic development groups in our community to retain businesses, attract investment, and create jobs. I'm also preparing to announce a vacant and abandoned housing task force to combat the blight in our neighborhoods. If we can get everyone around the same table, I believe we can expedite the demolition and rehabilitation of problem properties in our neighborhoods and focus on bringing sustainability and safety to our streets. The council has always played an important leadership role in confronting this issue, and I will be very much relying on your efforts and your counsel as we move forward with this effort. We've sworn in a new city controller and had a terrific change of command ceremony initiating our new fire chief. And if a certain proposal passes tonight, I believe the administration will be very strongly positioned to bring more outstanding department leaders into city government to serve the citizens of South Bend. I was elected in order to deliver change and improvement to city government, and I need the most qualified and experienced department heads in place in order to do that. In other relationships, I've personally engaged with Mayor Dave Wood in Mishawaka and our leaders in county government to discuss possible ways we can all partner to benefit the businesses and the families of our community. And once again, the reception there has been warm and productive, and I'm looking forward to many opportunities to collaborate. We welcome the opening of the new Kroc Center on Western Avenue, something for which I can take no credit, but in which I take a great deal of pride. It is a world-class resource for fitness, family, and fun that sits right at the gateway to the West Side. Speaking of the West Side, I made a point of choosing the Charles Martin Center as the venue for our first installment in the Mayor's Night Out, Mayor's Night In program, which allows any citizen who wants to come face-to-face, one-on-one with the mayor and with city department heads so that we can try to do some real-time problem solving on the concerns or issues they have when it comes to neighborhood safety and city services. The response was tremendous, and I'm looking forward to holding these meetings every month and to working with the council to make sure they're well attended and that we're resolving people's concerns. The code enforcement is hard at work, clearing illegal dumping sites, and I want to thank this council for having had the vision and the commitment to extend funding for this program. We have now removed over 1.4 million pounds of trash illegally dumped in our neighborhoods. And last but not least,
We responded to concerned emails from a 12-year-old boy on the south side who desperately wanted a stop sign near a dangerous intersection outside his home. I'm happy to report that the intersection of Don Moyer and High now has a four-way safe traffic stop thanks to this young man, traffic and lighting crews in the City Engineering Division.
A great example of how even the smallest of our citizens can have a big impact when they get involved by reaching out to their elected officials, like members of this council and myself. And with that, I would like to go to the financial overview of where we stand. As you remember, this is the budget that was passed by the previous council and proposed by the previous mayor, but it's the budget that we're all working with. And so I wanted to take you through a little bit of detail as far as where our money is, where it's headed, and what we're doing with it. I'll start with this view, the overall view of revenues and expenditures. There's a lot of interest expressed in transparency, and so I wanted to make sure that we gave you this cut that goes above the general fund budget that the council may be accustomed to working with. This takes in everything. This is every enterprise fund from sewers to wastewater, TIF, as well as the general fund itself. What you'll see, I just want to point out that one piece could be a little misleading. Let's see if I can make this work. If you're not aware that we had a late arrival of property tax funds in 2008-2009, so you really want to take the average of those two areas there. Bottom line is that we have expenditures fully funded in line with the revenues we hope to collect, but that expenditure amount this year is budgeted based on conservative budget assumptions to be higher than the revenue that comes in, and that I believe that our administration will be able to manage that number down to a lower number. Regardless, this is a fully funded budget and reflects variations in TIF and other funds from year to year. Under the general budget is balanced down to the last cent. It has to be, and we expect that revenues and expenditures will be in line, still lower than they would have been prior to the property tax caps kicking in. And again, you see that feature where the 2008 and 9 revenue numbers could be a little distracting, but really think of the average of those two to get a sense of where we stand. $64,356,000 this year. I want to give you a little bit of a view of how our funding stacks up. Again, council members will likely be most familiar with the general fund, but we have substantial revenue coming in through what is classified as special revenue. This includes motor vehicle highway funding, which is up this year, and the public safety local option income tax, which is down this year. And you will notice a little bit of a spike around 2010 when we got an Urban Development Action Grant, or UDAG funding, likely to be one time. In the debt and capital project column, that's where you're going to see COET and EDIT funding. Enterprise funds have a much higher level of revenue these last 2 years. That reflects increases in the sewer rates that were required in order to comply with the federal mandates for combined sewer overflow management. That, by the way, probably among the single biggest drivers that you're going to see on that first slide I showed you, where we have expenditure and revenue climbing. You'll also notice in redevelopment what looks like a real spike in 2010, as well as from 2008 to 2009. I want to stress that this has, again, quite a bit to do with the way the property taxes were dispersed in an irregular fashion at that time. You will notice that redevelopment revenue is down. That has to do with our decision, not my administration's, but South Bend's decision to retire the first of the Southside development areas. A good example of how a TIF can run its course, and then those revenues can be returned to other property tax users. This is another cut. I wanted to show you how some of these taxes and other funds are collected. Property taxes remains the single biggest source of support, even though those levels have been constrained by state legislation. Charges for services reflect wastewater and sewer collections, as well as such things as the fees for building permits. Local income taxes is plugging a significant would-be gap in property tax revenue. That figure there, the $18.5 million,
includes the local option income tax as well as the EDIT and COID funds. So that's how it comes in. Here's how it goes out. Again, the general fund allocation for this year will be $64.3 million. We then have allocations of $38 million in the special revenue areas. Debt and capital project funds account for $23 million. The enterprise funds, you'll notice a real increase there. Again, this is driven by an unfunded federal mandate, which I'll mention a little bit more about later, which will ultimately be to the tune of about $500 million to upgrade our wastewater so that we no longer have overflows in dry weather and wet weather that would put us out of compliance with federal regulation. And the redevelopment expenditures track the redevelopment revenues you saw earlier. Here's another cut on that data. Wanted to give you a sense of what applications these funds go to. Again, when you zoom out from just the general fund, what you see is that water and sewer accounts for most of the money that flows through city accounts. However, this is generally not what you would think of as discretionary funding. This is coming in on bills, and it's going out in day-to-day services. Public safety, if you take in everything that we allocate to that, including special funds, is actually bigger than the general fund itself, at $78.6 million, followed by economic development, culture, recreation, and then engineering. General government, I think most citizens would be surprised to know, accounts for less than 3%. That's overhead administration, less than 3% of our spending. And code and sanitation building department accounts for the smallest chunks of revenue and expenditure. If we open up the general fund itself, here's where we see that public safety accounts for the vast majority of discretionary funding. This has been an increasing proportion, and it now stands at 83%. Again, general government, engineering and streets, code enforcement, culture and recreation, and parks considerably less proportionally than we invest in public safety in this community. This gives you a view over time. One of the things you can tell a little more clearly here is that we are under pressure, and we have been responding as a city to that pressure by reducing overall expenditures in the general fund from what they were prior to 2008 when we began looking at the specter of property tax caps. I also think it's important for citizens and council members to be aware that we now operate city government with considerably fewer people than was the case 10 years ago. The number of full-time employees is down, a total of 205 since 2002. And let me give you a little bit of a breakdown there just so you can see how that breaks out. You notice that we've been able to hold public safety employment relatively steady, although it hasn't been without a reduction. But there have been proportionally much steeper reductions in the enterprise funds that, again, incorporates sewer, water, as well as the street department. The street department is operating with something very close to half of the former strength. Some of that is made up for within the enterprise funds, but I don't want anybody to get the impression that people are just moving around. We have far fewer full-time employees now than we did 10 years ago. So, I hope you're still awake, and want to stress that we are looking forward to a future address in April, which will provide the opportunity to address any follow-up, although I'd be happy to speak to any questions or at least take down any questions that come my way this evening. I believe, in short, that we have a budget which, while very much constrained, is adequate for my administration to deliver on the needs of this city, and that working together, we will still be able to deliver major improvements in efficiency, transparency, and cost effectiveness through the best possible management and leadership. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Any other report of city officers? Seeing none, may I have a motion to resolve in the committee of the whole? So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
of the Whole is now in session. This is the portion of the council meeting where bills are given a second reading and a public hearing. I wish to share with each and every one of you that the bills that will be given a second reading and a public hearing have been given a first reading and set for a committee meeting and public hearing prior to this evening's discussion. At this time, I would like to ask our council attorney, Kathy Sincansey-Farron, to outline the procedures that will govern the committee of the whole.
The committee of the whole is the portion of the meeting where the council sits as a committee and hears the formal presentation on each of the proposed ordinances that are come before the council. Our city clerk, John Gordy, reads it by title. Councilmember White, who chairs this portion of the meeting, then calls for a committee report from the standing committee that heard the bill for a advisory review and recommendation. At that point, the formal presentation will then take place. That is untimed. Immediately after that, Councilmember White will ask anyone of the public to speak in favor. You must give your name and address. You are allowed to speak up to 5 minutes per person. As soon as that section is closed, Councilmember White will then ask for any individual to give their name and address who would like to speak in opposition to the bill that is before the council. At the close of that portion, there is then a rebuttal portion or the formal presentation of the individuals who gave that the initial remarks has the opportunity to address any questions or concerns that were raised in opposition. At that point, Councilmember White will close the public hearing, and it is then the council who has the opportunity to ask questions, to debate, and then to form by proper motion and a proper second and a voice vote, how they will recommend the bill to the full council when they reconvene as the city council.
Thank you. I do ask that council members allow the petitioner to give his or her report prior to asking questions of them. In addition, I ask that you allow me as the chair to recognize you so that every committee and council person will have opportunity to ask questions. At this time, Mr. Vorty, will you please give second reading to Bill 84-11?
Public hearing on a bill of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, to create the City of South Bend Certified Technology Park Fund, number 439.
Thank you. Prior to giving the committee's report, I would ask our council attorney to read the language that we discussed during our committee meeting in regards to Bill 84-11.
Yes, this bill is going forward with an amendment to Section 1 that immediately after the language that is currently in the bill to have the following sentence. An annual report on proposed short and long-term expenditures shall be filed by the South Bend Redevelopment Commission with the Office of the City Clerk no later than the end of the first quarter of each year.
I would like to entertain a motion regarding the language.
So moved.
To amend the bill as read.
Second.
It's been moved and second that we would amend Bill 84-11 as read. All those in favor of the motion, may I hear your vote?
Aye.
Those opposed, the motion carries. At this time, I would like to report that the Personnel and Finance Committee heard Bill 84-11 as amended and would like to send this bill to the full to the committee and the council with a favorable recommendation. Is the petitioner present? We do ask that you come to the podium to state your name and your address for the record, please.
Good evening. Mark Neal, City Controller, 1200 County City Building here in South Bend. The proposal to create the Certified Technology Park Fund is based upon an agreement effective January 1st, 2009, in which the City of South Bend, the City of South Bend Redevelopment Commission, and the Indiana Economic Development Corporation entered into a Certified Technology Park agreement. Each Certified Technology Park is required under the Indiana statute to establish a separate Certified Technology Park Fund to receive property tax proceeds, state gross retail and use taxes, and other revenue. The money deposited into the fund may be used for the acquisition, improvement, construction, and maintenance of public facilities, debt service, and other permitted uses under the statute in connection with the Certified Technology Park. To accomplish this, it is in the best interest to have this fund established. As we've discussed, that fund has a maximum amount of $5 million. It will cover all of the technology park parcels that are identified in the Technology Park Agreement, which would include Ignition Park, Innovation Park, the Nerding IU Medical School, as well as the business offices at Eddy Street Commons. We have received proceeds in 2011 of just over $812,000, and we are ready to place those monies into the fund for future use in those various parcels as part of the Technology Park Fund.
Thank you. Council members, do you have any questions of the petitioner at this time? Thank you. Seeing none, at this time we'll go to the public hearing portion of Bill 84-11 as amended. Is there anyone in the public wishing to speak on behalf of this bill? Anyone wishing to speak in behalf of this bill? Is there anyone present wishing to speak in opposition? Seeing no one, the public hearing is now closed. Council members, are there any questions? Councilmember Henry Davis?
Sure, real quick, this is a comment. We had an opportunity, let me fast forward. There was a newscast that I saw yesterday where Representative Borak is working really hard downstate to gain some new legislative items. And he has a couple of bills to convene from my understanding dealing with nanotechnology. And I think it would probably be valuable for either Davis Council and administration to work with Representative Borak so that he gets the advocacy that he needs from the local area downstate so those bills can actually be passed. I think it will be a very big help to this area. We adopted Senate Bill 443, which actually helped market our technology parks that we have out here right now. We did that, I think, that last year. And so, as he is working hard downstate, we may not know anything about these things. And I happen just to stumble across this. I think that they'll probably be valuable since this is what our industry is going to be within the next 10, 15, 20 years maybe, I don't know, that we participate with him downstate to make sure that those legislative items that are going to enhance the quality of industry that we're going to have here are given the due diligence from the local level downstate. So it's just an FYI, a comment that I think we need to be aware of.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion regarding Bill 84-11 as amended?
Move that go before council for recommendation.
Then move and seconded. All those in favor of the motion, may I hear your vote?
Aye.
Those opposed, the motion carries. Bill 84-11 as amended will be sent to the full council with a favorable recommendation. At this time, I would like to ask City Clerk John Bordy to give second reading to Bill 0-12.
01-12, public hearing of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending ordinance number 10119-11, fixing maximum salaries and wages of appointed officers and non-bargaining employees of the City of South Bend, Indiana, for the calendar year 2012, and transferring funds from certain accounts to other accounts within departments of the City of South Bend, Indiana, for the calendar year 2012.
I would like to entertain a motion to hear the substitute bill.
So moved. Second.
Then moved and seconded. All those in favor of the motion, may I hear your vote?
Aye.
Those opposed, the motion carries. There is a committee report. The committee started discussions in regards to substitute bill 01-12. Due to time constraints, we did not complete our committee discussion at that time, so we are continuing the discussion during the committee as a whole in regards to the bill that is before us. I would like to state that I would like to thank the administration, city controller, the mayor, and others for really supplying information that the council had asked, and that we did receive that information. It's a lot of information. important information, and that the bill before us is very, very critical. I would like to go on record to thank Mr. Neal, the mayor, and others for really gathering this information on our behalf. At this time, is there a petitioner? Please state your name and your address, please.
I'm Mayor Pete Buttigieg with offices on the 14th floor of this building, and I appreciate this opportunity to present this ordinance. The purpose of this ordinance is to update certain job titles and to bring the pay caps for certain key city positions more into line with what they are in other states. There was not an opportunity to share the data on these slides during the committee meetings before, so I'll do that now. But first, for the benefit of the public, let me clarify what we're doing. I'm asking for the opportunity to update the salaries for city controller, city engineer, city attorney, director of public works, executive director of community and economic development, director of human resources, and the director of information technology in order to make them more competitive. We're also making a number of changes to titles that do not have any accompanying changes or increases in salary. This is because, as you know, the title for any job is actually set by ordinance, and so to change the title, for example, of an assistant to the mayor to a chief of staff, even with no increase in pay, requires an action of this body. We're also creating a position of deputy city controller, but this does not add to the staff of the city controller. It takes from a director of finance position slot and converts that to a chief deputy in that department. As you have probably detected by now, I enjoy data and charts, so I thought that this might help the council and the committee get a better feeling for what we were trying to do. What I've done is my office has pulled together some data from other cities, as well as some other numbers we thought were relevant. For each position in front of you, the red bar is what the current maximum salary created by the council ordinance has for South Bend for that position. Next to it, in green, is the new maximum salary that this bill would set if approved. For reference, I wanted you to be able to look at that gold or yellow bar. That is the level that would have been set had the council last year approved a different ordinance that was proposed by the Lickey administration that also involved pay and also contemplated pay increases for certain positions. The blue bar, and this is an especially important one from the standpoint of recruiting for this administration, is the average of the cities of Anderson, Bloomington, Evansville, Fort Wayne, and Hammond. With the exception of Fort Wayne, those cities are around our size. Some of them, like Anderson, are quite a bit smaller. But when you take a look at what they allow themselves to compensate these key positions at, compared to us, you will often find that we are behind. The gray bar looks at some out-of-state cities, just for some comparison, similarly sized or otherwise comparable cities from Illinois and New York. And then that last number, the BLS median, that's based on Bureau of Labor Statistics data for what people in the workforce in general in comparable roles might expect to be paid. We can, I think I'll save the specific slides. We got some more, but if you want to look at any one of these in detail, we'd be happy to do that during a question and answer period. I do think clear you would be forgiven for looking at this slide and concluding that our city attorney is grievously underpaid and that I'm asking to institute a massive salary increase. Bear in mind that that is currently a part-time position, and I am now requesting that that be made into a full-time position. So it's actually not even a pay increase when you look at it on a per-hour basis. Let me back up a bit and explain why I'm asking for this. These are positions where we either found that there was difficulty in recruiting somebody to take the position, or the job description is changing in terms of what my administration expects of the person in that position prior to what was previously expected, or both. And it was the discovery that we are often paying substantially less than even smaller communities for similar work that led me to realize that we may have a recruiting challenge in staffing some key outstanding departments in the future. And by the future, I mean the very near future, because I would like to get a lot of these positions filled immediately. Good example is the Director of Public Works. We are trying to replace a retiring Director of Public Works who is widely regarded as one of the best in the United States, and we are trying to do it at a salary that is considerably lower than what a Director of Public Works working in another city, even a smaller city, I would draw your attention to perhaps Anderson, can expect to make. Another thing that's very important to understand is that this bill is already paid for. It does not involve adding 1 penny to general fund expenditures. It does not involve adding 1 penny to taxes. This draws on a line item that was passed by the previous council, and as a matter of fact comes $100,000 below what the council appropriated. So I want to be sure that everybody understands this is not new spending. I'm asking for the flexibility to use those salary caps in an adjusted fashion to spend the budget according to how it was passed last year. I also want to stress that I'm not asking for us to pay these positions the way that they're paid in the private sector. There is an understanding that public servants are often compensated quite a bit less than their counterparts in the public sector. I'm just asking for a chance to make it closer to what the rest of the public sector pays in other cities in a state like Indiana. I also want to stress that I believe in many cases this could pay for itself. I mentioned earlier in my address that the city is embarking on the largest environmental public works project in the history of the community. The bill for that project is somewhere in the neighborhood of $500 million. If we have a leader who is talented and experienced and qualified enough to identify even a 1% savings through better leadership of the department, that person is saving $5 million for the taxpayers of South Bend. I also want to stress that I recognize that these are difficult economic times. I am not seeking this lightly. For that very reason, I took a pass on the opportunity to have my own pay raise that was passed by the previous council, donated that back to the city. I would not be asking for this if I did not think it was very important for these positions. I also want to stress that these are not salary levels. These are maximum salary levels. And the more headroom we have in being able to attract good candidates, the less necessary it would be to offer the maximum salary allowed by law just to get the applicant we'd like through the door. I do not know whether this is a popular bill. I do know that it's very important to our effort to deliver on what I was elected to do, which is to deliver major improvements in the transparency, efficiency, and cost effectiveness of city services. I believe that having the right people in the right positions is critical for our organization just as it is for any organization. And I believe that this may be one of those moments where we're called on to make a distinction between what is popular and what is wise. I believe this to be wise enough that by the time all of us are facing the voters accountable for our decisions, the improvement and the difference this will have made will be seen and will be very easy to defend indeed. I'd be happy to respond to any questions that committee members have at this time.
At this time, we'll turn this portion over to council members. I would like to stress, though, this is the first opportunity that the council has had opportunity to respond to the information because we did not allow the adequate time during the meeting this afternoon. So you'll be hearing a lot of questions and giving feedback from council members, but I want the audience to know that this is part of the process, and we have a responsibility to make sure that the questions that each council member may have, that they are properly addressed, and that the information that is needed, that the council has that information as well. So at this time, we'll bring it back to the council, and I'm going to start with President Derek Dieter, and probably go directly down the line.
All right, thank you. The question I have has to do with the new employees and/or the people that you would be hiring. What parameters are you putting on that it's required that they live in the city of South Bend? You live in South Bend, all the council lives in South Bend. I don't want to see the brightest and the best coming in and have them live in a different community.
what you plan on doing, for that.
I will make every effort to encourage anybody who's new to the community to locate in South Bend with all the influence at my disposal. It's not part of the letter of the law in terms of the bill I'm bringing before the council, but certainly something I believe in as well. As you said, I live in South Bend, so does every member of this body, and I think it is a great benefit for anybody who is being paid South Bend funds to work on South Bend issues live within the city limits, if at all possible.
Thank you.
Councilmember, Gavin Foley?
Sure. Do you have candidates identified or potential candidates identified for these positions?
Yes. In many cases, though, we do not have as many candidates or as experienced candidates as we would because I've not been able to provide them with any certainty about what the salary is going to be. And so there's quite a bit of urgency here, and I very much appreciate the chair and the committee for being flexible about the committee process in recognition of the urgency that we as an administration face in filling some of these key posts.
Councilmember Oliver Davis?
I pass on mine and reserve the right to come back.
Okay. Councilmember Dave Varney?
I yield, okay.
You yield?
All right. Thank you. I'd like to just real quickly relate you talk about or suggest that there are, with better hires, perhaps savings that can accrue. And we've already at different times addressed large expenditure needed for the public works with regard. But I want to tell you, one of the things that leaves me somewhat skeptical of how this will work out, and has been would be to a public works issue we had about 6 or 8 years ago when we went to the automated waste pickup trucks. It was sold to the council as a cost-saving measure, whereby we would see it reflected in the budget later. When I looked at the budget the following August, and I asked the public works director where was a substantial reduction in the workforce, which had been addressed, and I thought was the savings that was in there. The response was quite simply, well, we've assigned those people to other positions. So the fact of the matter is, I don't doubt that there were savings. Those savings, if they are used for something else, if they are not used productively, if they are not reflected at some point in time in a cash flow situation, which comes back to the recognition of government. You know, are nice to talk about, but they don't mean a whole lot until you can actually quantify and objectively point to them. You're new to the table, and I don't want to use that as a basis on which making a judgment, but historically it's a circumstance that I've seen with regards to government in a number of instances. A savings, in my mind, as a member of the council, is only a savings if we can put our fingers on it and find a use or at least increased revenues. It isn't because an accountant said, well, it looks like we saved some more money here. I appreciate your efforts. I do wish you, as well as the rest of the city of South Bend, the best. I still have some difficulties with it, as we discussed at the meeting, and I hope you prove me wrong.
Well, I certainly hope for the opportunity. One other historical example I would give is the investment of, are you talking about the MNet system?
No.
Because that's an example of a small investment that may have saved as much as $100 million for the city. I believe there are not 5 public works directors in the country who would have had the imagination to do that. We had one of them, and I'm trying very hard to replace him.
Yeah, and I won't argue with that.
Another thing I might add is that coming from the private sector, the concept of connecting compensation as well as just in general performance evaluation to results is one that's very important to me personally. I feel, though, that this time that it's difficult to have the flexibility to do that in some key positions because I have to max out the salary caps just to bring somebody into the administration. Leaves relatively little headroom for an opportunity to have some compensation be conditioned after the fact on results. Like you, I can think of nothing more frustrating than to be promised savings and then not have the results come through.
Thank you. At this time, Dr. Fuller.
I fully endorse our mayor's proposal. Too long our city has not had a business model, a way of doing business. And in the era of globalization, we need business models. I think that he can provide the metrics to fulfill his goal of job increase, abandoned houses decreasing, and crime prevention. And you have to hire the best people to do that. And if you look at any example in the city, let's just take local examples. Let's just take a coach, like Skylar, Coach McGraw. She's given Skylar Diggins, who's outstanding, $40,000 a year. Now, she took a chance on her. She happens to have great insight into ability, and I think our current mayor has that ability. If you look at our non-for-profit, Phil Newbold at Memorial Hospital. Memorial Hospital, I can guarantee you, is one of the finest hospitals in the United States, and I've been in New York City, Boston, Mayo, every place. And he's done a great job. He gets great people, but he pays them well. You don't get good people unless you pay them well. If you look at Notre Dame as far as nanotechnology, what Henry referred to before, they've devoted a huge amount of money in salaries to great scientists to perhaps jumpstart this nanotechnology, which Bill Clinton said is the future of America in 1998. Lastly, you look at any private sector, they pay well. We have a current controller that was making many times the salary at Prescini, but he sacrificed some, but he's being compensated, not at the level he should. So we're lucky to have people like that. But in order to get good people, you have to pay for them. And I feel that if we don't endorse this plan, we're cutting the legs off of an administration that has a great future. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Valley Shaw.
Just for the record, I'll share a suggestion I had shared with you previously. Perhaps not at this time, but in the future, I think it would be worth examining the opportunity to put a performance-based incentive program in place for our department heads with measurable outcomes, measurable metrics. I think that would be a positive thing moving forward. So I just want to add that to the conversation.
I welcome that suggestion, and I think working with the council, perhaps as early as the upcoming general wintertime salary ordinance for the next year, could be a great opportunity to explore that.
Councilmember Henry Davis.
Thank you. For the record, I'm going to say it again. In the newspaper, Henry was quoted as saying that he was against this proposal. However, I may have implied that, but I didn't say that. And so that because I had some regular concerns. So I wanted to come here with an open mind as a council person. But I do talk to my constituents, and a lot of them were very unhappy with this proposal. I had a conversation with a gentleman, and he told me he never understood how a person can receive a pay raise coming in the door. Well, that was his concern. I'm just speaking out of concerns. How long have you been recruiting for these positions?
Since the day I was elected.
So would it be fair to suggest that you have not exhausted all avenues in finding people for these positions at the level that are already set at?
I would suggest that we've hit a plateau. That in order to attract the kinds of qualified and experienced candidates I would like to attract to apply, or among those who did apply, in order to get some of the most qualified that I would like to employ to come, we're going to need to offer more competitive pay.
So are you looking outside the city, more in the city, outside the state, in the region, across the United States? And what tools are you using to get this done?
This is a national search, and I rely on everything from people approaching us to us reaching out in the community, which is where I first look because I do believe it's important for South Bend residents to hold these jobs, but also outside the community, that's where we can find qualified people. I do, unfortunately, talk to some people nationally who seem like they could bring a terrific amount of experience and qualification to the job, only to be in the rather embarrassing position of having to tell them when the conversation comes to pay that South Bend would pay them less to do the same job they're already doing, currently with less responsibility in a smaller community. So I guess I'm less concerned about giving a pay raise to somebody coming in the door than making sure we're not asking people to take an unreasonably big pay cut just to come work for us.
Okay, well, I guess your recruiting and your recruiting tools are national. Nationally, we have like a 9% with the unemployment rate. I think is 9%. Here locally, I think the county is worried about hovering around more than 9, closer to 10 than 9. And obviously, hopefully we're coming out of recession. We have an opportunity to almost maximize at the level that we're currently at, rather than increasing to attract more. That's just because of the recession. There's so many people out of work, and a lot of people with great skills are out of work because usually they go for the top people, to decrease the revenue that they, obviously use for expenditures, meaning employees, excuse me. So I just think that should be something that we could look at. I looked over the numbers with Champaign, Illinois, which is like 80,000 population, Troy, New York, 50,000, Anderson, Indiana, which was an 8,000 population, and Syracuse, New York, which is 150,000 people. Why were those cities chosen? I may have missed it when you were talking about it. Why did we use those cities rather than like Evansville, Fort Wayne?
Well, we used Evansville and Fort Wayne, and Bloomington. I was looking for cities that were roughly comparable to us. So, again, it wasn't just Anderson. If you recall my remarks earlier and the information I sent to the council earlier, I think my clicker is dead, but we drew on Anderson, Bloomington, Evansville, and Fort Wayne in order to try to set a balance. Now, we took an average of those, but I also have slides that show you by community. Now, you might get some position where there's not something quite equivalent or they call it something different, but by and large, we have data for each of those communities you just mentioned. I didn't look at Gary. I know that Gary's quite a bit smaller than we are. They do pay considerably less than we do for these jobs, but I don't think we should be emulating Gary in this respect.
No, I don't think that we should be emulating Gary either, but what I do think is that they are a city that's within the state of Indiana. And it gives us a better comparison because it's closer to home than in Syracuse, New York, or even like Champaign, Illinois, and even for lack of better, even like Anderson, Indiana. You're talking about a population of 8,000 people.
57.
And that's what it is. It's 57. Okay, well, I Googled something that was the wrong one. Well, 57, which is considerably lower than our population here.
That's just my point. If it's smaller, if the population is lower and they're still paying more than we do,
Let me
we got a problem.
Let me get to my point. So I'm sure that their support staff will be considerably smaller as well if the city doesn't carry the weight as far as the population that South Bend does. And I think that that's something else that I think should be looked into. You have departments, you have employees within your department, and when you have opportunity to see whether some of the positions can be condensed or expanded as well. Have you looked through the departments as of current day to say if you could condense or expand some certain positions? Maybe there are duplications. And the reason why I asked that is because 3 or 4 years ago, myself and past council member Timothy Ross took a trip down to Fort Wayne, Indiana, when we had opportunity to look at the High Performance Government Network. And that was a Lean Six Sigma approach to doing government public sector work. And what they found is that by adding that culture into the way that they did business at Fort Wayne, it gave them a bit more flexibility, as we were asking for, in hiring, condensing, collapsing, or expanding positions, but as well as giving services to an optimal level. And I think that there's things that you can do within your department before coming to council to say this is what we've already done before you ask for salary increases. Again, I'm not saying I'm for or against it. I'm just vetting the situation because I've gone through this for the last 5 years. Yes, about 5 years of my life, and it's the same conversation. I want money before I begin to do my job on my end, which yes, is a prerogative, and you are allowed to ask for that, and that's what you're supposed to do. But our job is to make sure that the money that's already been spent or been given or allocated is being used to its optimal level as well, so that we have this conversation and we all get the most out of it. I have a couple more questions, Councilmember White. Since we are and have compared what we are doing here close to more of the private sector, because that's what we've been talking about here lately, private sector. What disturbs me is that we do compare it to the private sector, but we don't behave like the private sector. And what I mean by that is that when we have conversations, and I'm not going to be very specific about individuals or departments, but I've had a couple of times already this calendar year where we've had people show up who were ill-prepared. And because of them being ill-prepared, we either had to continue the meeting over or restate why this was this way or right or that way when we are email or phone call away. My point is that if we were going to behave like the private sector versus public, when we do salary raises, what are the council's attachments when someone comes in and they can't present? Do we behave like the private sector and do we begin progressive disciplinary action? Do we begin to talk about termination? Because actually, if I was an employee at Memorial Hospital, which I once was, couldn't show up empty-handed to give a report. And give me that report, well, what happened is that I need to make out here. And if I don't, then obviously you know what the bottom line will become. So my question, I guess, is about the culture. When we began to introduce pay raises for certain people at certain levels, when they come into council and we don't have the information that we need, because I'm going to expect that you have all the information when we do what we do, that we won't have a hiccup, or let's continue it over, or let's do something different because I'm just not prepared.
I'm afraid I don't understand the last question.
Well, the question is that do we behave like the private sector on every front? You ask for more money, and if you ask for more money, so if you guys if you come in, like I said, it's been a couple of times already, and it's been 3 times I had not asked a question about the next meeting that we having. If there's an opportunity for you to come in as you are scheduled, when you come in and the presentation that we are expecting as a council is not given because I'm unprepared, I didn't have enough time, or I didn't understand the question, and it's been 2 weeks in between, or maybe a month, then how does the council react to a person that has received a pay increase that's been $50,000, 40 or 35, and we're still not getting what we are paid for? Are you following me now?
Not altogether, but I'll respond as best I can. The private sector and the public sector are different. One thing that I do hope we emulate in the private sector, here in the public sector, is the way that we're responsive to each other. So I think giving one another information, returning one another's phone calls, good example of showing up on time. Great example of habits that are considered very important in the private sector that we all here in the public sector should probably do something to try to adopt. But the public sector is different. And I'm not asking for private sector pay. I'm asking for us to be more competitive with the rest of the public sector. Another question, I'm sorry, I want to respond to your others, but I want to be sure I understood.
You're fine.
You mentioned something about support staff in smaller cities, but I'm not sure I grasped that concern.
You're fine. You have it. I'm fine.
Okay, you got it. You mentioned Fort Wayne. Now, Fort Wayne actually pays, to take one example, their director of public works gets $128,800. Ours currently is capped at $82,000, so that's about $46,000 more in Fort Wayne. I very much admire the efficiencies. I think you're right to point out that the Six Sigma and other practices in the direction of efficiency that were achieved in Fort Wayne, largely under Mayor Graham Richard, who's somebody I draw a lot of advice from, were very effective. And at the end of the day, they were taxpayer savings. But to get somebody who has the experience to do something like implement the Six Sigma program in their department, those people don't grow on trees. And it's difficult to ask somebody who has that experience and that qualification to come in and take a pay cut just so they can do that. I'm all about efficiency, and I think in order to do that, I can't do it alone. I need strong department heads. And I'm not asking that we pay them that much more than other cities our size do, but I think if we pay them less in Evansville, less in Fort Wayne, less in Bloomington, less in Anderson, I think we might have to live with less results, and I think your phones and my phones will be ringing with constituents who notice the difference.
Well, my phone's never start ringing, but real quick, High Performance Government Network, so we're clarified on this, is a group or team of consultants that come in and implement it to your department heads or to the departments themselves. It's not that you're hiring someone in to be a part of the employment staff until, whenever. It's a start date, it's a finish date. And so we pay into a program to come in and implement this practice versus us hiring someone for $150,000 who has the ability to do it themselves. So it's an investment rather than going out and, finding someone else at that pay rate.
I would certainly be open to engaging consultants and getting advice. Having been a consultant, I'll tell you that one of the most important things when you go in to consult for an organization is who's sitting across the table from it and how capable are they. And I really do think that whether we're leveraging those kinds of outsized resources, which I'm glad you brought up because I think that's a great idea, or whether we're doing it on our own, either way, you just can't get around the quality and experience and qualifications of top leadership in our departments.
I'm going to now ask Councilmember Tim Scott, does he have any questions? Thank you, Councilmember Davis.
Yeah, I just have one question. I completely agree with you, Mayor, that, we were all voted into with the idea of change, and applying old rules and expecting change doesn't always work. So, and I also believe that when you hire people, they're assets, and they're going to bring more to the table than what you're actually paying out in returns. Different ways of measuring returns. But one thing that I've always done when I'm hiring people and working on department budgets is I have an idea or a plan of how we're going to get some of those savings back, either by increasing salaries or bringing in talent. Do you guys already have KPIs and plans that you're looking at per these departments, or are you looking for those talented people to come in and help implement savings?
It's a little bit of both, and just for the audience, I think by KPI you mean Key Performance Indicator, which is a fellow business geek we could both consider very important. First of all, yes, that's very important to me as well, to be able to set those targets. But as one person overseeing over a dozen direct reports, there's only so much that my office can do, I and my office, in order to set them. So I do very much rely on collaboration with the department heads. My expectation is that leaders of departments, in collaboration with citizens, members of the council who express the priorities of the people, and myself, can come together and commit to certain targets, and then they'll agree to be held accountable for our performance. So, yes, that's important. We have a head start on it. Matter of fact, one of the real wins we have with the new controller is some new expertise in the city government on how to use that style of management. But again, I just don't know that we can get there if we don't have top leadership who are aligned around that idea, bought into it, and know how to get the ball rolling.
Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Oliver Davis.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. In your response to Councilman Davis, I believe you shared that you started looking on for your hiring process on the day that you were elected to office, which meant January 1 or in November?
No, November. I mean, I didn't want to jinx myself, but I should tell you that I was investigating opportunities to recruit even after May. Obviously, that did not become official until November, so that's when we opened up the transition committee, set up the website so people could apply, and went through the formal motions of interviewing and beginning the process of staffing key departments.
I'm glad you clarified that, because this bill was filed, I think, with the first week of January. And the concerns I had on it was, first of all, the opening concern, it did not give enough time. I mean, to you starting on the first and then the bill being filed right then, the recruitment process to me was a little hasty. Second thing, that it's been implied that if we vote down this bill tonight, that you now have an excuse to do work that is substandard, because of the fact that our council voted against. You said, well, if I can't do that, you shared that in this afternoon's meeting, then our phone calls would be ringing because of the kind of work that we have. At the same time, you share that we have been lucky. First of all, we're lucky to have you. Okay, and you accepted the pay, and you decreased the pay. Secondly, you said you were lucky to find a controller who was right here. You just used the word lucky. Third, you've been lucky to find out of Chicago a communications director. I don't think. And then you've been lucky to find a chief of staff right here. Then you've been lucky to find another chief of staff. I hope you don't think that the people that you have just mentioned here, who are working diligently for our city, are inadequate or less talented than the people you sent, because it's being implied that the people who you currently have, who are accepting these salaries, are not talented, are not great change-cutting people who can benefit South Bend. That's the way it's come to pass.
I would hate for anybody to draw that conclusion.
Well, that's the way the
people that I have been lucky to attract are outstanding.
It is coming across that way from my constituencies. Mm-hmm. You know, people are saying that we have you, when you say we have to recruit all this talent, we have a lot of wonderful talent over there. I've seen you all campaign, I've talked to you up there the whole time, and you all knew what salaries were ahead of time. We knew that this was the salary we started. It was $16,898 when we first had it. I mean, peanuts. Into some issues, and some up here said they don't even want to take the salary, but we love the city of South Bend. To compare us one reason why everybody always talks about Gary, but the only reason I include that I wish Gary was chosen, the tax structure of the state of Indiana really impacted Lake County and St. Joe County more than any other counties in this, and you have that experience. And so the Lake County area and the St. Joe County area took a serious hit that those of us in the previous council had to wrestle with and take a whole tackle of House Bill 1001. And so we have to take that heat. The reason we are in this kind of financial situation now that we have done better in the city is because those of us on this board, on this council, took the heat a few years ago to put the city in that. You saw the reduction of staff. You saw the reduction of everything else that we had to do. And so we are very cognizant of the fact that we have been able to maximize the best of our workers that we have here, and they did excellent work. That's why it's been very hard to replace Gary Delott, who worked for his salary at $80-something thousand and did an excellent job. And we have top quality. So really to compare us to Anderson and these other places in the state, Evansville, who has a boat that they can use to finance their cities, okay? And all these other places we don't have a boat here, and that would be another political fiasco. Therefore, to compare us to these other cities who were not impacted like we were, and then have to face the challenges that Gary had to face, and face the challenges that we had to do in St. Joe County, it's really, to me, apples and oranges, or almost apples and something else, not even fruit. And so those are the kind of concerns that I think we have to be cognizant of. Because just because we have the bright sunshine of day, those of us who came through some cloudy days are very concerned of this. Because we had to go through some cloudy days and get stopped in the Walmart and get stopped in places because we had to raise people's taxes. And there's my brother here right in the middle of this. You had a whole group coming up fussing at us for raising a lot of taxes up here. And, we had to go through that and set up here. Security and everything. And now it'd be okay to get here, and then everybody says we want to raise everything. I'm just very cautious of that. And it would be better if this presentation had come to me in the August budget, because it would give you more time to see things. It would give us better time to look at what we're going to have to do with our police and fire budget. Who knows how that's going to go? The percentages of some of these increases are tremendously large. And the thing about it, it's not consistent. You yourself on November the 30th in our paper, and I read it. It says, this is November 30th South Bend Tribune, written by Kevin Allen, it says over there, accepting a raise in this economy doesn't feel right to Pete, so he will be donating it back to the city. Buttigieg's chief of staff, Mike Smoot, told the Tribune on Tuesday. In this economic climate, you yourself, and we're only doing a 2% raise, 2% across the board, and you made a statement that the raise that we were going for the city council for Clerk John Vorty, you are publicly quoted here in your administration saying that this was not the economic time, and you came out against that. I never heard you come out against Mitchell Walker or even say anything. They had a 2.5, now you had a 3.0 raise. We had the lowest raise of all of our three governments, and you came out and said that you didn't feel that was the right time. And then as soon as you become mayor, you say, now we need a raise. What happened to me, and I said to myself, as I kept this, and I said to myself, accepting a raise in this economy doesn't feel right. I was saying to myself, this is November the 30th. January 1, you feel right. I could not understand.
May I respond?
Why that? Well, hold on, give me a second. Because we have to live with this for the rest of our lives, too. You have some time. And so that's one of the things that I have very great concern of, is when we do a 2% raise, just 2%, and we get challenged. My concern to you, and this is where my plea to you, is that you take the time to look at where we are this year. You asked in your State of the Union address for 6 months review. It would be better to me to look at this whole budget in budget season and not separate. This is what we ask Mayor Steve, to do it in the budget time, and then we'll move forward. And there's a lot of these positions that I can see light in. But to do it at the very beginning, during this tough economic time that you yourself alluded to, I'm very concerned. Now you make concern.
Thank you. Well, I too would find it more convenient to address this in the August budget, but we have a February problem. Matter of fact, we got a January problem. See, a mayor is generally expected to take office with a full slate of department heads identified. That's January 1st. So traditionally, I don't think it would be regarded as hasty for a person coming into any office, whether it's the President of the United States or the Mayor of South Bend, to begin a transition immediately upon being elected and to try, if possible, to identify the best people for those roles by the day that they raise their right hand and take that oath. Now, we did that as best we could. We're also relying on interim and in some cases even volunteer support. But I just don't think we can wait until August for me to know whether I can tell a candidate who I think is great for a job that I think is extremely important, whether or not they would have to take a massive pay cut just to come work here for the city. I'm also very glad that you mentioned my own decision to decline the opportunity to get a pay raise myself. This highlights something I really want to stress with this council. I believe in increasing salaries if and only if it is really necessary. For me, I did not feel it was necessary. For me, I still do not feel it is necessary. And while I'm grateful for the consideration and respect for the office that the last council showed when it passed this raise, I concluded that it didn't feel right for me to take it because I didn't need it. I already applied for the job, and I was going to do anything I could within reason to get it, and I was ready to take it at any pay. It is very difficult to find people in non-elected positions to do that. We found some. We've been really lucky. Like you said, we've been lucky on the city controller. We've been lucky in the past on public works. Been lucky in a lot of other jobs. I just don't know how much longer before our luck runs out in terms of being able to do this at a level that is so much below what competing cities do. You did mention Lake County, and I wanted to be sure to mention that Hammond was another city we looked at and incorporated in some of these averages. Hammond is in Lake County, of course, and does pay more than we do, and I regret that that's not included on the breakout charts, but I think it is in the averages. Gary, unfortunately, has kind of an odd process where they pay people partly out of their utility and partly out of the salary ordinance, so it's really not comparable. You suggested that somebody could draw the conclusion that I was looking for an excuse to do substandard work. I will not do substandard work, and I will not make excuses. If you all decide to make every job in this city, including mine, a minimum wage job, and cut the budget of everything we do by half, I will still do everything in my power to make sure we have excellent results, because that's what 74% of the voters elected me to do. It'll be hard, and 4 years from now I got to stand in front of the people of South Bend and explain how we got there. And it sure would be a lot easier if we were doing what other cities do, but there are no excuses here. Lastly, you mentioned that you've had to take the heat, and yes, that's what we elected officials do, right? We have to sometimes consider doing things that are not wildly popular. Personally, I would share that this is a very difficult habit for me to form. Because I've been a candidate for so long, I have little alarm bells that go off when I see a need to do something that's good for the citizens that I also think might be unpopular. But I'm doing it. I'm taking the heat, some of it from you, some of it right now, and I'm asking this council to take the heat with me and do the right thing for the city. I don't think we can wait another day in order to get some certainty here.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. At this time, we're going to go to the public hearing. I have a point of order. Mayor, I would like you to consider in the event that the council takes final action tonight, on page 3 of your proposed ordinance, you have January listed in 3 places, to strike that and put February.
Will do. Thank you for that clarification.
We'll need a motion for that effect.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion carries. I would like to state before we go to the public hearing portion that every council member has the opportunity and the right to share their concerns, to give their feedback. Again, this is the first time that this council has had a public hearing and on this particular bill. It is a very important bill, so I don't want anyone to leave this meeting thinking that we're not doing full consideration in regards to all the information that we have. Each council person has been elected from a particular district or at large to really articulate their viewpoints as well as their various constituents. And so as we begin to work through these tough issues, these unpopular issues, as we begin to work collaboratively together, I think it's very important that we don't lose sight of that. But likewise, we should not lose sight that normally this level of discussion would have been conducted in the committee session, and then we probably would continue, but we would not have had this level of conversation. On the other hand, I think it's good for the public to see that we do take our job seriously, that we do our homework, we read the material, and we ask those questions. I would think that the public would not want us to sit in these seats and not address our concerns. So I'm very appreciative of each council member. I'm very appreciative of the mayor responding to these questions. And most importantly, as we move forward, the bottom line is that we want what's best for the city. All of us will continue to do the job that we've been elected to do or that we've been hired to do with a level of excellence. And regardless of what this bill may turn out, if the council supports it, if the council does not support, come tomorrow, we will work together and we'll move forward. So I appreciate the level of conversation, the level of discussion, and we'll now move to the public hearing portion. Is there anyone present wishing to speak in favor of substitute bill 01-12? I'll ask that you come to the podium, that you state your name and your address for the record, please. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of this bill, we do ask that you come to the podium at this time. Would you please state your name and address, please, for the record?
Good evening. My name's Don Ranke, 416 North Main Street. I believe in Pete's cry for improving the local economy and the way the city functions. We are in need of better quality to attract the very best to guide South Bend has never been more important or more apparent. The quality leadership is needed to progress in attracting new businesses. Excuse me, but I'm going to drag up some old trash. Family Dollar transaction showed total disrespect of the appreciation of the risk involved. The Archdiocese raised over $35 million. Why did they need help? The issue of separation and state was assumed to be addressed by a negotiated trade of $1.25 million.
Speak to the bill that's before us.
I'm sorry?
I'm going to ask if you could kind of keep your comments to the bill that's before us, the salary
The
ordinance.
bill that's before us is to, the point I'm saying is, the city messed up in making the deal because they did not appreciate the risk involved of going against separation of church and state. With the increased quality that Pete is looking for, we'll be able to avoid such embarrassments. Yeah, the city did not lose $1.25 million. We only lost $500,000. Now, if we had gone ahead and conducted ourselves with proper private sector motivations, we would have seen the problem. Now, with respect to nationwide unemployment, I want to refer to the concept of frictional unemployment. People will be unemployed because they don't want to move to a new section, or the jobs that they're in right now are not available. With respect to Councilman Henry Davis's need for more statistical support, I can go ahead and
you have 1 minute.
I'm sorry?
You have 1 minute remaining.
Very good. We got to get out of being old school. We got we got the fiber optic core going right through the city. We got to go ahead and step forward. There's a new economy that's coming up, and it's not in the old school. We got to be able to meet the future with the quality that we need. Pete is not just some guy who got the mayorship because Some guy became governor.
I'm asking you to bring your, comments to close. You have 5 minutes. You have approximately 20 seconds remaining.
Anybody who wants additional statistical information, I'll be willing to supply it. My name's Don Ranke. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Again, anyone wishing to speak on behalf of Substitute Bill 01-12, state your name and address. You do have 5 minutes for comments.
My name is Jerry Niscoski, 2930 Bonds Avenue, South Bend. I have prepared comments now. They're all marked up because of all these beautiful things brought up. Try to make it coherent. We've been blessed with many dedicated people who have held these positions in the past. Okay. We've been blessed with many people who have been dedicated, at doing these jobs in the past. Most are leaving. Some, as we talked about, Mr. Slott, for example, have graciously decided to stay while we find somebody to replace them. As Chief Administrator, Mayor Buttigieg is entitled to surrounding himself with people with whom he feels comfortable and most importantly, confident in their abilities to do their jobs. Given some of the data the mayor and the media have shared with respect to how our salaries compare to smaller cities in Indiana and larger, it is time to pay our management team it's time our management team receives competitive salaries to attract the best talent. I would echo what Dr. Furlick said in another way, and that is outstanding managers are worth their weight in gold. And I think I've spoken and written about how South Bend has chosen not to compete in local, state, and global economic arenas for years. Now we have someone that wants to do just that, and you must choose between allowing him to do that or just maintaining the status quo. I'm sick and tired of the status quo. I'd like to see us move forward. If you're worried about where the money will come in the future for these salaries, I would just go back to what I've spoken about for the last 3 or 4 years. And that is simply, it is way past time that we change our budget process here in South Bend. We need thorough reviews of every department, and once the budget is passed, it does not stop there. I've said it before, I'll say it again. You, the legislative branch, serving the people, should demand and perform quarterly reviews of every department to determine whether they're meeting their goals and their budgets. It's time to get rid of the old entrenched cultural practices. The many fiefdoms in the city that think they must spend everything every year or lose funding the next. Get rid of the practice of someone buying, silverware or odds and ends just for the sake of spending because of some twisted belief that it's better to spend without regard for the taxpayers than it is to be responsible to the taxpayers. Do that, and you might be surprised to find far more money to cover these potential salary increases and possibly even more funds that can be redirected to meeting the priorities of this administration and those of you on the City Council. I'm asking you to vote favorably for this Resolution 01-12. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Gary Gillot. I'm a citizen volunteer, retired Public Works Director for the City of South Bend. I still serve on the board. I still help out in the Public Works Department. Here to speak in support, I'm going to particularly focus on the City Engineer and Public Works Director positions. Both of those are job descriptions that require licensed professional engineers and substantial management and leadership experience. Keep in mind in that department, those two key people run an operation that is an enterprise, a business, where we need to watch the revenue side as well as the expense, and it's a $65 million a year operation. In addition to that, the city engineer runs a $40 to $50 million a year capital program for all the various city departments between capital projects and capital equipment. So you're putting a lot of responsibility on a couple of folks. In order to get those technical credentials as well as the management and leadership capability, you're going to need to pay more. You had an unusual situation where the current pay, I actually took a pay cut to come here from a city half this size. It's something I wanted to do, something I could personally afford to do. I love doing this work as evidenced by I'm doing it for free for the last 6 weeks. But a lot of the talented people that I know who are out there who would not apply when I was helping Mayor Buttigieg to recruit for these positions have student loans, have young families, have mortgages, have car payments, can't afford to make the same decision I made with regard to pay versus market rate. So we'd like to not really narrow the selection to exclude all those people who won't make a great personal sacrifice on behalf of their family in order to do public service. I think we need to pay at a competitive rate. I also wanted to mention the big picture here on the city budget. Mayor Pete had a slide up there where he showed an overall operation of over $200 million a year of public funds that you are the watchdog. You manage that. The council before you voted $200,000 for strategic recruitment and restructuring of key leadership positions in the city. Prior council voted for $200,000 out of $200 million. And then Mayor Pete, listening to each of you as councilors, reduced that figure to about $100,000 that he's actually investing of money that's already been appropriated. To me, this is a really small percentage, folks. You do the math. It's less than a half of a tenth of a percent. You know, you're going many decimal places out. So you got 99.95% of the budget that's going to be strategically impacted by these few positions, more than the city engineer and the public works director, but a few key positions. Most of the resources you spend in the $200 million are either capital costs, where those engineering degrees become important, or they're personnel costs. An awful lot of what we do is personnel costs. You get the right leaders, they bring it out, the motivation and capability within all that other large city workforce, the 1,100 employees that are how you deliver service. Get the right people, pay the right rate, get the best talent you can get on the team, and move South Bend forward. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? I'm asking that anyone wishing to speak on behalf of this bill that you come to the podium at this time.
My name is Kyle Chamberlain. I reside at 626 Cashway Street in South Bend. Much like Mr. Gilat, I want to speak to a specific position contemplated in the ordinance, and it's one that I have a background in, and that's the city attorney. Mr. Mayor Buttigieg raised a very good point about the drastic increase in that number, but I think it's a very necessary step to take that position from a part-time manager of full-time employees to a full-time manager of full-time employees. And I believe Mr. Ranke made a statement about how we've seen the ramifications of a lack of risk analysis and liability protection over the last year, and we've seen the savings that proper preventative legal advice can bring us. I think it's also important to note, like Mr. Gilat referenced, the position of city engineering being a licensed professional skill. Most of the positions that we saw up there were licensed professional skills, and Councilman Davis, I think this gets a little bit to your point regarding slighting the individuals who've already accepted jobs for the rates we have established. And the counter I would make to that is, and I think Mr. Shmuel might agree with me, that there are a lot of people out there that, you know, like they say, flutes in an orchestra are a dime a dozen. There are a lot of people who aspire to positions like his, and that reduces the market pay for such a position versus there are only so many qualified, competent, experienced attorneys who can take on a position of corporation counsel. Not diminish the level or importance of the work that a chief of staff or someone in a similarly political position does, but the market dictates, the market supply and demand dictates there are more people who are willing and able to perform that role than there might be in a role like city attorney, where there's a finite number of licensed individuals in a given state. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone present wishing to speak in opposition of this bill? Anyone present? We do ask that you come to the podium, you state your name and address.
Well, I'm Gary King, 730 North Hill Street, South Bend. And I'm coming not so much to speak in opposition, although, you know, it's basically a principle that I heard enunciated by both Mr. Davises on the council, and the part that concerns me the most is it's like a precedent. that when you have to raise the salary for this group, well, pretty soon this other group, well, you did it for them, can't you do it for us? You hold back on so many things, but then you say, we have to do this. Well, that may be true. Now, I listen to the remarks, and I find myself agreeing with, many of the points that the mayor made, that Mr. Niezgodski made, that Mr. Gilat made, especially that he knows what it takes to get the right kind of person, and he's contacted some of them, I'm sure. And Mr. Chamberlain makes a good point, too, that you just can't find somebody and stick them in there. However, there are people who would love to work in South Bend. And knowing the quality of the people that are here, the resources available here, we might not have to pay quite as much. I don't think I'd like to live in Anderson. I work there from time to time, and I wouldn't want to live in Fort Wayne, and I work there a lot. There are some things about those cities that just bother me. There are some things about South Bend that bother me a little bit, but there are so many things about South Bend that say, I really love this town. And you can attract some people. You use the word lucky to find people. No, it's not lucky, it's fortunate. And you hear people pray at the beginning of the meeting to guide us. And some of that prayer works. You're getting good results for the effort that you expend. So, there are two motivations. Somebody told me this a long time ago. You can be motivated by a sense of dedication, or you can be motivated by compensation. The people who are motivated by compensation are going to be as easily lured here as they're going to be lured to the next place. We can pay you $10,000 more. You want the person who's going to be dedicated. There's going to be a challenge. Maybe they're not going to make quite as much here, but they've got resources and they've got an environment that could be way better than any place else they could dream of working. And that's the kind of person that you want. And you've seen that kind of person come up here in Mr. Gilat. We need to find that kind of person, and they should not be primarily motivated by the number. And so I think probably the last thing I want to say about it is something my mother told me a long time ago. Necessity is the mother of invention. And when you've got to make do with just a little less, that's when your creativity kicks in. When you've got a constraint, you have to say, how am I going to make this work? When I gave students, you can write about anything. In my teaching career, they didn't know where to start. When I say, you can write about anything except not this, not this, not this, and you have to do this, they get it done. And I appreciate the opportunity to say this, and I wish you best of fortune and God's blessings in finding a solution.
Thank you. Is there anyone else present wishing to speak in opposition of this bill? Seeing no one, the public hearing portion is now closed. Council members, what is your pleasure?
I move for favorable recommendation.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor of sending amended bill 0-1 to the full council with a favorable recommendation, may I hear your vote?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Nay.
Nay. Roll call.
Wait, no, I think we need roll call, yeah.
An aye vote would be in support of the bill?
It was a request for favorable recommendation.
Favorable recommendation sent to the full council, please.
Very good, very good.
Mr. Scott? Aye. Mr. Henry Davis?
Nay.
Mrs. Shea?
Aye.
Dr. Furley?
Aye.
Dr. Varner?
Nay.
Vice President Alvord?
Nay.
Councilmember White?
Nay.
Mr. Furley?
Aye.
President Dieters?
Aye.
5 ayes, 4 nays.
Therefore, substitute bill as amended will be sent to the full council with a favorable recommendation. I will now entertain a motion to rise and report to the full council.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the committee of the whole will rise and report to the full council. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
Come on. Clear?
It's like Mark Dyer, I'm telling you what's going on, Tim. No.
Full council is now in session. Clerk Forty. You ready? Go, third reading. 8411.
Third reading on bill of the common council of the city of South Bend, Indiana, to create the City of South Bend Certified Technology Park Fund, number 439.
Move for the passage of 8411.
Motion to amend as it was in the committee.
Come on. A motion and a second on that, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Now, Dr. Vargas.
Motion to pass substitute Bill 8411 as it was in the committee of the whole.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on that. Clerk Forty.
Mr. Scott.
Aye.
Mr. Henry Davis.
Aye.
Mrs. Shea.
Aye.
Dr. Furley.
Aye.
Dr. Varner.
Aye.
Vice President Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Mr. Furley.
Aye.
President Peters.
Aye.
9-0.
Thank you. Let's proceed to 1-12.
Third reading of the common council of the city of South Bend, Indiana, amending ordinance number 10119-11, fixing maximum salaries and wages of appointed officers and non-bargaining employees of the city of South Bend, Indiana for the calendar year 2012 and transferring funds from certain accounts to other accounts within departments of the city of South Bend, Indiana for calendar year 2012.
Motion to amend as it was in the committee of the whole.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Now, may I have a recommendation for the amended version? Make a motion, we accept it as amended.
Second.
Pass.
We've already done it.
We have a motion, we have a second on that? Clerk Wardy.
Mr. Henry Davis.
No.
Mrs. Shea.
Aye.
Dr. Furley.
Aye.
Dr. Varner.
Nay.
Vice President Davis.
Nay.
Councilmember White.
Nay.
Mr. Furley.
Aye.
Mr. Scott.
Aye.
President Peters.
Aye.
The vote is 5-4 to pass.
Thank you. Let's proceed to 1204.
A resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, approving a petition of the Area Board of Zoning Appeals for the property located at 505 East Broadway, South Bend, Indiana.
Thank you. We happen to have a committee report on this.
Yes, the Zoning and Annexation Committee met this afternoon and brings this bill to the full council with a favorable report.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Lyons.
Mark Lyons with the Building Department, Office at 125 South Lafayette. This is given a public hearing at the January 4th, 2012 meeting of the Area Board of Zoning Appeals. This is a special exception request at 505 East Broadway for its community center. Received a unanimous favorable recommendation at that time. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Any questions of Mr. Lyons? Seeing none, petitioner. It's a very short synopsis of your proposal.
Hello, my name is Pat Lynch. I'm staff at South Bend Heritage Foundation, 803 Lincoln Way West. We are requesting a special exception for an existing vacant and abandoned residential structure to be used as a community room and leasing office for our adjacent apartments, new heritage homes that we're renovating.
Very good. Thank you. Any questions of the petitioner? All right, thank you, sir. Anyone like to speak in favor of this proposal? And/or opposition? Seeing none, may I have a recommendation from our council?
Move for the adoption of 1204.
Second. Mr. Forty.
Mrs. Shea.
Aye.
Dr. Furley.
Aye.
Dr. Varner.
Aye.
Vice President Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Mr. Furley.
Aye.
Mr. Scott.
Aye.
Mr. Henry Davis.
Aye.
President Peters.
Aye.
9-0.
Thank you. 1205, please.
A A resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, approving a petition of the Area Board of Zoning Appeals for the property located at 3826 Nymphs Parkway, South Bend, Indiana.
Thank you. Committee report.
The zoning committee met, and it brings us to you with a favorable report.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Lyons?
Mark Lyons, the building department officer at 125 South Lafayette. Again, this is given public hearing for January 4th, 2012, meeting of the Area Board of Zoning Appeals. It is a special exception request at 3826 Nymphs Parkway to have 3 additional 90-foot radio communication towers to the existing facility. Comes with unanimous favorable recommendations. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions of Mr. Lyons? Seeing none at this time, petitioner.
My name is Carrie Wallace. I work for Charles S. Hayes Incorporated. Our office is located at 814 Marietta Street in South Bend. We are here today to seek a petition for a special exception use to build 3 self-support 90-foot telecommunication towers, and we are also asking for variances.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Any questions? All right, thank you. Anyone from the public like to speak in favor of 1205? Or opposition at this time? Seeing none, council, may I have a recommendation?
I move for the adoption of resolution 12-05.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Clerk Vorty.
Dr. Furley.
Aye.
Dr. Berman.
Aye.
Vice President Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Mr. Furley.
Aye.
Mr. Scott.
Aye.
Mr. Henry Davis.
Aye.
Mrs. Shea.
Aye.
President Davis.
Aye.
9-0.
Thank you. May I have a motion to continue 1206 to March 26th of 2012?
So moved.
At the request of the petitioner.
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second on that. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Thank you. Mr. Vorty, 1211.
A resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, recommending to the Board of Public Works that it designate Martin Luther King Day as one of the holidays for the South Bend city employees beginning in calendar year 2013.
Thank you. Did we have a committee meeting today?
Yes, the Personnel and Finance Committee held a committee meeting and a public hearing on Resolution 12-11, and we send this to the full council with favorable recommendation.
Thank you. I turn this over to Vice President Oliver Davis, who is the sponsor of this.
Thank you, President Dieter. Along with sponsor, we have Councilman Henry Davis, and we are honored tonight to bring this resolution to the full council tonight with a favorable report. That we will begin the discussions to have the Dr. Martin Luther King holiday be one of our designated holidays for the city of South Bend. So we will be in line with many of the other governments in this area and across this nation. And this bill will help us to present this resolution to the Board of Public Works for us to work together so they can be able to present their new dates, hopefully, in the month of November to the city regarding this change that will hopefully start in January of next year.
All right, thank you. Any questions?
No, I wanted to add to that because I'm a co-sponsor of it, if you allow me.
All right.
Thank you, sir. Really quick, we talked about earlier about dollar figures and how this could potentially raise the cost of us doing business as a local government. We talked about other things internally about prices and margins and just numbers. And I don't want to get so wrapped up in this so that we, measure it out or we multiply it so much that it doesn't make any sense. Martin Luther King, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. holiday is a federally recognized holiday, just like the 4th of July, just like Christmas and any other federally recognized national holiday in the United States of America. And what happens is that when we have other local governments that surround us, states, including Arizona, if you've heard about that one, recognize this holiday, and the city of South Bend, the one that we serve, and even where we have Dr. Hesper, they even walk to Martin Luther King. They talk about that a lot. And we cannot observe the day as a sign of respect to what the Civil Rights Movement did for us, because I'm sure that bill, the DDLT bill, will come back before us, and they will be using Dr. Martin Luther King's name and his quotes to support it.
but we cannot take the day off to recognize it and support some of the things that are going on around here. There is an immeasurable value to that. You can't measure that. It is part of your education. It's a part of the culture that's here in America, and it's something that we need to value here in the city of South Bend. So, minus all the number talk, it's just the right thing to do. And that is the reason why I co-sponsor it. It's not about the dollars. As a matter of fact, if we look hard enough for money, just like we just passed the bill for raises, we'll be able to find other holidays that we may be able to take off, like probably Columbus Day or something like that, and put back into the filters, or even be able to pay for it as well. Again, I made a statement earlier today about Genius Day. I think we celebrate Genius Day more than we celebrate Martin Luther King holiday. It's funny, but it's the seriousness behind it. It's serious. It's a bad perception. It's a bad light. It's not a good day for good guys. We don't want to put it together with President's Day. And I'm speaking from my heart, but at the same time, I speak from a little anger right now because I've heard those comments. And if you look at the comments on WNU.com and all the racist comments that came out of that, from the article that was written, you will understand what I'm saying. And so I think we really, really need to take a good look at ourselves right now in order to make this thing a reality, because if we don't, you can record whatever you want to, $1 million here for a job or $2 million here for a job. It will not be a safe place for anybody to grow their child up here because it will be too polarized, I believe.
Thank you. Okay. Yes, sir. Any other comments from our council?
I also speak from my heart. I have no person in this room has greater respect for Dr. Martin Luther King. He died, if you remember, was assassinated in Memphis. Okay? That day he had given a speech before the Garbage Workers Union. Okay? Martin Luther King would not want any of us to take a day off. So, secondly, in private businesses, we were allowed 6 holidays a year, basically. Okay? Our company's 225 people, just like other companies in this town. The federal holidays now are 10, so that's 4 more. Maybe we can be innovative in South Bend and combine some of these holidays as a great American day, such as Martin Luther King, George Washington, Lincoln. They can all be coalesced as one. And I also propose that about 15% of our population, which is Hispanic Latino, you also include Cesar Chavez in that. Okay? A great advocate for migrant workers in California, so even those who remember in the 60s and 70s. So, because of economic sense, and because of what I think Martin Luther King would want, he would want all of us to be working on this day, and he would want to say, go to work, honor me that way, honor Abraham Lincoln that way, George Washington, Cesar Chavez. That's how you honor a person. So, economically, I think you're going down a very slippery slope for the city, designating another holiday when you already have 10 federal holidays, as opposed to 6 in the private sector. And we just got done with the discussion of private versus public. And unless our government starts working as a private institution, we're going to go down the tubes. You can look at Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, Birmingham, Alabama. They're all filing for bankruptcy. So, that being said, I think that we need further input on this, and I would welcome all the public's input on whether to expand another holiday for public workers. Thank you.
Any other comments from our council?
Just a point of order, the public hearing should go forward first before further comments by the council. Any questions perhaps to the presenters, but...
Can I respond to those comments?
All right, well, that's what we do. Anyone from the public like to speak in favor of
Do I respond to those comments now, or do I wait until after?
Just wait till afterwards.
after all the...
Okay, cool.
Anyone in favor? Step up to the podium, name and address for the record, and...
I'm Mayor Pete Buttigieg's office is on the 14th floor of this building still. I wanted to step up to let you know that if the council passes this resolution, I will welcome it. I have felt a little bit embarrassed sometimes that after discovering that the city of South Bend does not recognize Martin Luther King Day as a holiday. I believe that Dr. King is not only a civil rights leader, but in many ways a moral compass of our nation, and that we would do well to recognize that. In fairness, many of us would find that our days are not very different. Many of us recognize that as a day on. I know my day on Martin Luther King Day will begin with the Martin Luther King Jr. Recognition Breakfast, and then we'll have another round of activities through the day, of which the highlight is probably the march from the County City Building on to Century Center. I know that the Human Rights Commission is already going to be spending that day, whether they are recognized as a day on or day off, doing a lot of work relative to Martin Luther King Day. I do appreciate and very much respect the concerns for any economic impact that this might have. And those dollars and cents add up. If you do back of the envelope math, we're talking about 1 day out of the work week works out to, or out of the work year works out to about 0.4% of spending. And we would need to think about whether to prevent that from being a cost to the city by trading it for another holiday, or whether we should simply take that into account when we're making other budget and compensation decisions. But I do believe there's a way forward that could satisfy economic concerns while also placing our city among those organizations, companies, universities, and governments that recognize Dr. Martin Luther King in this way. And I would be proud of our city if we did that. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Huey Scobie. I'm a resident of South Bend, Indiana by 52 years. And I go way back and to Dr. Martin Luther King's lifestyle and to all the things that he stood for and all the things that he lived and died for. And I'm certainly willing to support having Dr. Martin Luther King's Day off, and that is with the mayor's office being closed. If the city of South Bend is going to be running wide open on Dr. Martin Luther King's Day and then hiding themselves as if they're closed. There was a little sketch in the paper, not this year, but last year, about a 2x2 sketch. I read it in the paper. I think I presented it to the council this afternoon. I came down to the city county building. It read something like this: the county is closed, but the city is open. Our former mayor is down at the elite breakfast. Only elites go down to that $25 breakfast. And we have people hungry out here in the street. And we celebrate it in an ungodly way. We should celebrate Dr. King's birthday as if we were celebrating Christmas Day. Dr. King fought, went to jail, marched, were beaten and drugged, and now we have but anyway, our former mayor did not recognize that I spoke with him. And I'm pleased to hear that our present mayor is in favor of having a holiday for Dr. King. As I look back over life and I see that down in Alabama where Dr. King strived so hard.
You have 1 minute, sir.
They have an Obama Day down there, and usually you don't get these days until after you're passed on to be with the Lord. So it is my prayer that the council will observe Dr. Martin Luther King's Day by having the city offices closed. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. President?
Yes, sir, Mr. Vorty?
Mr. Scobie has put together a packet for each one of you for your consideration. It's a list of ministers, businesses, and individuals that support his position for the holiday.
Thank you, Mr. Vorty. And
It's not for the holidays.
That is actually for, and I'm sorry, John, but it's not for the holiday. It's actually to, change one of our major thoroughfares to Martin Luther King Drive rather than have it on a street with no address. We have, but that's a different issue.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Vordian. For the point of clarification for our attorney, all this resolution is doing is a recommendation to the Board of Public Works and Board of Safety, who would have the authority to do that, correct?
It also would begin discussions between the legislative body and the city administration.
Correct. Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
I'm in support of...
I think we need your name and address. Again. Thank you.
Okay. I'm Don Ranke. My address is 416 North Main Street. I believe that the proposal should be supported wholeheartedly. The memory of Dr. Martin Luther King is just one step towards the eradication of racism in America. And if we hold that day sacred here in the city, it'll help, in my opinion, ease the racial tensions, whatever we may have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Reverend Henry L. Davis, Sr., 215 North Sheridan Street, South Bend, Indiana, 46619. What Reverend King done, it was not only for black people, it was for all people. What he's done, he's brought equality to the hearts of people. You cannot legislate equality to people. It's a thing that has to be born in one's heart. And to honor that day would be a day of reflection. Not so much of what King has done, but what are you doing? What is your motivation in this life? What will you contribute to this day, to this time, to this era? That's what it is all about. He came forward to motivate people to see people, as created of God, equal. For one to be disingenuous, to say things as been said this evening, I'm not going to bring forth names, would make me like them. All I need to say is that we need love. We need to see one another as brothers, as sisters. You sit here as a body legislating things in people's lives, but nevertheless, it is very personal, the things that you do here. And that's what King did. He was very personal in everything that he done because he changed a lot of lives. He changed the course of history. Be he being white, we wouldn't have a problem with that. To say it the way that it is. If he was a white man, we would be honoring him.
Disagree.
I didn't interrupt you. Thank you. Those are my opinions, like you have yours. But the man is a man, and he is a man of God. And we all say that we believe in God. Well, you believe in God's work and honor God's work. Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak in favor? Opposition? Or favor?
In favor. Jerry King, 730 North Hill Street, South Bend. Proud to share a name with such a person of to his stature and his leadership. Wish I could be even a quarter of. But my point is to really iterate something that I heard Mayor Pete Buttigieg say in his remarks, that when we celebrate Martin Luther King Day in South Bend, it's not a day off. It's a day on. And if you have ever had the opportunity to come to the South Bend County City Building and participate in the rally, to hear the choirs, to hear the speeches, to go to the workshops at the Century Center, to just find out what people are thinking, I would urge you that as you proceed with the resolution and the discussions to write into it that it's a day off, but a day on in the idea of service, to get together with other people in the community to share ideas and to find out how we can make this a better place. And whenever I've been able to participate in the activities here, it's been very uplifting, and all the city employees who would like to participate in that should have the opportunity. And I strongly urge you to consider passing this and moving it forward.
All right, thank you. Anyone else in favor? No opposition? Seeing none, council, recommendation.
Move favorably?
Second.
Motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt. Second.
We have a motion to second. Clerk Vorty.
Dr. Varner?
Aye.
Vice President Davis? Aye. Councilmember White?
Aye.
Mr. Furlick?
Aye.
Mr. Scott?
Aye.
Mr. Henry Davis?
Aye.
Mrs. Shea?
Aye.
Dr. Furlick?
I have to ask the city attorney, can I abstain because of misinterpretation? Then nay.
President Diener?
Aye.
Vote is 8-1.
Thank you. 1212, please.
A resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, recommending that thresholds and criteria be developed when public tax dollars are to be involved to assist in leveraging economic development with the private sector.
Committee report?
Committee, is your committee report? I'm sorry, fatigue is settling in on me, and I'm just, somewhere else right now.
It was a fair.
Community Economic Development, the Community Economic Development, Committee met this afternoon, and we sent this bill to the council with a favorable recommendation.
Great, thank you. Petitioners?
We have the petitioners, Oliver Davis and Henry Davis, regarding this bill, and we are looking at this another resolution to come before the council to give us guidance, and not only the full council guidance, but specifically the Community Economic Development Team guidance regarding public partnerships and private dollars, and give us guidelines to begin the discussions to put parameters in place so all of the different people who are petitioning before us can be given similar treatment and know the process, and we can have a working relationship with the mayor and economic development to come together and just start the whole discussion as we stated this afternoon.
All right, thank you. Any questions on that? Seeing none, anyone like to speak in favor of 1212? Opposition? Favor? Head up there, buddy. You have to just continue to sit over there.
This is my town. Okay, Don Ranke, 416 North Main Street. My father Joe served on the Common Council under Lloyd Allen. Combining private money with civic money is a positive way to address certain situations we have right now downtown. The positive thing is that we can progress this way and enhance what we have already established. Also, Ranke Construction built Kovaleski Stadium. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to speak in favor?
Councilman Dieter, I would like to speak in favor. Didn't have opportunity to speak during the presentation phase. Henry Davis Jr., 5117, I forget my address almost, 5117 Idlewood Drive, South Bend, Indiana, 46619. I'm in favor and support of this bill based upon the fact that we are trying to develop economically here.
there is a heavy sense and understanding that a lot of these projects that need to go forward, and especially when private companies come in, they're looking for some sort of assistance per the city, whether it's through the TIF districts or whether it's from the general fund or, edit or, wherever we can pull it from, seeded, what have you, to develop it here economically, not general fund. But what happens is that our conversations may change and vary based upon whoever this developer may be or whoever this company may be. I think it's a priority that we should set. It should be a standard that we set as a city, but more so a legislative branch meeting the council to say this is what we're looking for when administration decides to enter into a public-private partnership. And so we don't have any hiccups like we've had in the past, or none of us are left in the dark about how the process actually works. It actually gives the council itself more latitude and longitude as well to participate in brokering the deals that the city so desperately needs. It gives the council person for whatever district it may fall into more conversation about how it fits or may not fit within their district per the constituents' cry or pause for the particular development. So I think it shares a win-win in every facet that you want to look at. We've gone on for many years without any parameters, just only a time that we sit and ask questions about whatever it is and then come out at the end of the day with not an answer or still confused. So this, as a legislative body, it prepares us and it also allows us to have opportunity to know exactly what's going on, and you have a checklist, and if these things do not pan out, then we can actually stop the conversation and ask for more information based upon what's left on the paper. So it's a step up, it's a good legislative move for us, and it's the right thing to do, and I would hope that you would support us in this as well. Thank you.
Any questions on that? Anyone like to speak in, did anyone in opposition? Seeing none, any comments for the question before we call for a vote? My only comment concerns is the role of the council. I don't believe it's the council's job to legislate or broker deals. I think that in the end that comes up to the administration and the CED department. I think once that's in place, I think what Oliver and Henry Davis have done have opened the door for discussions, but again, I don't think it's our role as a council to be the one that is developing the deals. The deals are made through the city administration and the CED departments and other departments within the city that would tend to that, and if it does come to council on a vote where funding is needed, yes, I would think that's something that we would look into, but again, I don't think it's our responsibility. So I would ask for, no, we're here to call for the vote now? No, we're here to call for the vote.
Well, point of order, there is some form, we have rebuttal form, or can we have a rebuttal to that?
No.
You have the right to overrule by proper motion the chair.
My proper motion on that, is I take a motion, then to be able to respond to that? And come out ready, so move.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of that?
Aye.
You can do a voice vote, or you doing it?
Voice vote.
You want to call it again?
Let's go. No, we're here for, the vote is, he wants to respond.
He's the petitioner, and this is still part of the public hearing process. Do the petitioners have opportunities to respond to any questions, or we pass the public hearing?
We're past that stage, we're at the voting stage.
We're in the council portion.
Okay.
Well, I'm a council person.
I know.
So the other person.
That's why you have the opportunity to overrule the chair by a majority vote of the chair of the entire body.
We had a motion, and we had 1 second.
To allow all of us to speak. That is the motion.
Okay. Call the roll with that then, Mr. Vorty.
I'll make it quick, y'all.
Okay, Mr. Scott.
Aye. Thank you.
Mr. Davis. Aye. Mr. Shea.
Aye.
Dr. Furlick.
Aye.
Dr. Varner.
Aye.
Vice President Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Mr. Furlick.
Aye.
And President Peters.
Nay.
Thank you.
In response, I don't know if you heard President Dieter's comments, but did you hear his last comments regarding, the role of the council with, and they should be involved? Could you please enlighten us regarding your research? You gave some issues regarding Philadelphia, and what role did the council take in that role?
Again, we're talking separate state laws.
I understand.
But all that the proposed resolution does is to allow a vehicle to initiate discussions between the city council and the city administration and bodies like the redevelopment commission with regard to any time that public dollars would be used as leverage for private investment. Council President Dieter is correct that typically that role is vested with the city administration through the Department of Economic and Development.
I agree with that, but there was a piece that you shared this afternoon regarding the...
With regard to the city of Baltimore.
Baltimore, in the last stage of their intake, their assessment?
They did have a task force.
Yes, can you talk about that, please?
Initiated by their legislative body to have this task force go forward. And similar thresholds as proposed by both of you are in the resolution this evening.
Okay. I just wanted everybody to be clear about that because tonight a lot of our discussions put in the mayor and everybody else, we've been using examples from all over the country. So I just wanted to enlighten that has been a part of the task force that was led by the legislative branch that works with the mayor. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Hey, council, you have a recommendation then? Hello?
I move to adopt Bill 1212.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Forty.
Vice President Davis. Aye. Councilmember White.
Aye.
Mr. Furlick.
Aye.
Mr. Scott.
Aye.
Mr. Henry Davis.
Aye.
Mrs. Shea.
Aye.
Dr. Furlick.
Aye.
Dr. Varner.
Aye.
President Peters.
Nay.
The measure adopted by the state.
1213.
A resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, approving local service agreement for public education and government access channel.
Thank you. Mr. Varner, committee report.
The Public Works and Information and Technology Committee had a meeting, hearing on this afternoon. I came to the council with a favorable recommendation by a divided vote of 3-1.
Thank you. Petitioner.
Gary Gillott, President of Board of Works offices on the 13th floor of this building. The Board of Public Works is actually an administrative body working out the pleasure of the Common Council. This has been discussed over a period of several years. Last year, the Common Council placed resources in its budget and asked the Board of Public Works to handle some of the administrative requests for proposals and contracting duties related to getting this service up and running. After doing a search for folks with core competence in the area of video production and broadcasting, we went to WNIT. We've negotiated a scope which includes technology for a community calendar to be up on Channel 99, and also some studio time and video and audio equipment to go out in the field to tape certain broadcasts. So this will make live again, after 4 years off the air, a public education and government channel. One of the things you can do is put council meetings on there. You've already got that on the web. Perhaps key speeches by the mayor through the year would be a good thing. Perhaps some events at the South Bend Community School Corporation would be wonderful things to air on the public access channel. And then there's the just general public access. For John Q. Citizen wants to produce a story on whatever, gardening, whatever their passion. This is an outlet for them to share their passion with other people in South Bend who have similar interests. So this would get it up and running for the year at $85,000. $65,000 is a leadership percentage from South Bend, $10,000 each from Mishawaka and the county. The terms of the agreement call for future years to have proportional payment of the $85,000 based on the ratio of the franchise fees received through the state of Indiana for use of the public right-of-way in South Bend, in the county, and Mishawaka. So that concludes my remarks, unless you have any questions.
All right, thank you. Do you have any questions of the petitioner? Yes, ma'am.
More of a statement, Gary.
At this point.
We'll do statements later. I have one quick question. It's not a quick question, it's a long question, Gary. It has to do with the, what provisions do we have from Mishawaka and the county on the longevity of the money that they will be spending? Have they already enacted an ordinance, a resolution, a stamp notarized IOU? What is their...
No, they have sent a letter saying they've got $10,000 in their budget to partner with us this year, and we are hopeful that everyone will be quite pleased with the results of WNIT's production in the first year, and there'll be plenty of time for budget deliberations for 2013, but after several years of absence and direction from the council, we're trying to contract and get that going.
Okay, so basically, both of them are only obliged to give $10,000.
All three of us have that we're subject to annual appropriation by the council. There is no long-term commitment. The agreement says that this will go for 5 years, renewable by its terms, but it also says it's subject to annual appropriation by each of the fiscal bodies.
So my question is, they're only pledging $10,000 to start this.
Yes.
They don't have to come back with the amount that's designated by the funds coming in. They don't have to get the percentage of, we have 43, 29.
Yes.
So all they're on the hook for is $10,000 apiece.
Yes, and all we're on the hook for is the first year at $65,000 if you approve this.
Right, and then if we spend that, they don't come up to the plate, then what happens?
Well, I guess you either have a deal that goes south and the thing goes off the air again, or there's a lot of time to work through it. It seems most reasonable people would see the equity in the proportion of the franchise fees, and there is an active constituency that wants to provide this service to a demographic group that's not very internet savvy.
That's right. All the work you've done, and George and everybody there, and Dave, and I've got no problem with that. My problem is with the other two governmental entities. What other things can we do to make them sign on the line so they're going to back this monetarily?
Just a point of order, the agreement as proposed requires the Board of Public Works and Safety, because it is a combined board in Mishawaka, to sign just like the Board of Public Works has signed for South Bend. And it would also require the Board of County Commissioners to approve.
So it includes expectations for the subsequent years. You would think
signing it. But I'm just, where I'm coming from. What is there a provision that we can put in there if these other people aren't going to step to the plate like South Bend has done and gone above and beyond, both of them combined, by the way? What other things can we put in there where we can guarantee they're going to be involved in this?
I think because we've stated clear expectations for the second year that if they're signing on to this contract, even though I know if there were a disaster, it's subject to annual appropriation by the respective fiscal bodies, I would expect them to follow through. We don't take our agreements, our contracts lightly, and I hope they don't either. So when you sign it with an
I love the optimism, but I just have an issue with them not looking. So, any other further questions from Mr. July?
I do have a question.
Okay, question.
Gary, have we factored in since South Bend will be the party managing this, and you've obviously invested several hours of your time, and of course the South Bend taxpayers are the ones paying for South Bend employee salaries. Have we factored in the hours that South Bend employees have invested in this, as well as the time South Bend employees will invest in managing this going forward? Is that part of the $65,000?
No. We volunteered with council direction to take a leadership role on this one. There have been other projects where Mishawaka took the lead role on a joint project. They put more staff time in than we did, and we just wrote a check to them. Same thing with the county. There have been cases where they've been the lead agency on a cooperative project, and the other players put their resources into the deal. So when you take the lead role in a collaborative project between multiple units of government. Somebody's got to take the lead. On this one, the council asked us to do it.
Okay, thank you.
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
I'm sorry, I can go?
Let's go.
Oh, well, Gary, real quick, could you please explain to, I guess, to the public, we've been doing this for, 2 years now, so I'm clear on what's going on. And also to some of the new council, the original intent for the money that we got, where did it come from? How did it get here? And the original intent for it. Could you please touch on that so that everybody's clear on what's going on?
Yes, for many years, there was a local franchise fee that cable service providers like Comcast would pay directly to the city or the county, whoever was the jurisdiction that owned the public right-of-way where those cables were traveling. So they were in the right-of-way as a privilege, not a right, and they paid a franchise fee for that. That was established in some cities at 3%, in other cities 5% of the basic cable services revenue. When the state took that over a few years ago, as Kathy mentioned, it became 5% of the base cable service amount became the franchise fee. The state collected it and then remitted it back proportionately to the various jurisdictions. So the city of South Bend gets on the order of $800,000 a year. We're proposing to spend $65,000 of that came into the general fund and then was appropriated in the common council budget for expenditure with direction to the Board of Works to do the RFP, do the contracting, and secure the purchase order out of the council budget and pay the bill. Execute.
So it's actually public money, or is it public money, or is it private money that has been reinvested into the city?
It's a fee that people pay for cable TV that is paid to the government. Once it enters the general fund and is commingled with other money, it's now public dollars that the common council appropriates.
Why I asked that question, I understood what you're saying. What I'm getting at is the money that came back to us from Comcast when the agreement went wherever it went. That money came from people paying for a service that they were receiving per cable network agreement that they had with their homes or business or what have you. So it's not a public tax dollar issue. It's money that came in from people paying for the cable. And because the lines were in the city, the franchise agreement allowed us to recoup that money to do what we're doing with it right now.
Yes.
Thank you, Gary.
All right, anyone like to, are you part of the presentation?
Yes, I'd like to just
Go
say
ahead.
a few words, if I may. Aside from the wonderful things that, I'm sorry, my name is Angel Hernandez, 300 West Jefferson, WNIT. I'd just like to mention, aside from the things that Gary just particularly mentioned about the people involved, WNIT will also solicit membership and cooperation from other communities as well. I think Niles is definitely an area that we would like to solicit and bring them forth and have them participate in our program, as well as possibly even Elkhart and any other communities that receive Comcast cable. So our actual intent is to expand the cooperation of the communities so as to bring down the price for South Bend and not just continue it at this level.
All right, thank you. Now, would anyone like to speak in favor of this? If you do, you need to step up the podium. We need your name and address, and you have 5 minutes.
Peter Helland. I live at 751 West Ewing, South Bend. I was at the meeting this afternoon. There's a couple things that maybe I can clarify. A lot of the momentum for this started in South Bend. I'm president of Public Access Michiana, and we've been meeting for many years. George is from Mishawaka. He was there. We had the first meeting, and Sylvester started this even before us. So, I mean, this is a South Bend effort. And we went to Kalamazoo many times, and we went to Fort Wayne. And they have a budget approximately $500,000 a year to get their franchise money, which is a little bit more than us based on population. And they channel $500,000 a year to their to provide their citizens opportunity for public access. And so the way I see it, we're a university town, we're a town of ideas. So to have our town make available a public access channel, which is there right now, it's just not being used. It just makes common sense to me. And I'm encouraging you to vote for it.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, members of the City Council. This afternoon I was really elated.
Technically, we need your name and address.
My name and address? Jose. My name is George E. Lane, Citizen for the Accountability of Government, CEO and Chairman. I want to let you know that I was very elated today when I attended your meeting at 3 o'clock. And I'm glad this is hopefully coming to an end, because you're wearing this old soldier out, I'm telling you. Going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, all these years. But anyway, I want to thank members of this council that stood by me in the last council. All of you was 100%. You voted 100% to bring this to the forefront. We had a mayor that said no. For 4 years, the mayor that we had turned it down. And the mayor he was a responsible person. If it didn't come out of his funding, he kept telling me it was the council's problem. And then Reverend Rouse said, George, you got it backwards. He's lying to you. I don't know whether he lied to me or not, but at the same time, he didn't tell me the truth. But anyway, I want to thank all you members that were on there, Karen, and all my good friends on there that was on the council beforehand. Some of you left, some of you new ones are on there. But this is a public access channel that's going to teach young people. I don't know whether Angel had brought this up, but teach some of these kids at college how to operate these machines and so forth. But I'll tell you what, folks, you don't vote for this. I got a feeling right here in my heart that you're going to finally, after 4 years, that we're going to see public television. And I want to thank, like I said again, I want to thank each and every one of you. John Horty down there was a big help in my, so was Kathy. She was a big help. All the people in his office helped me tremendously. So anyway, I do want to tell you I'm not in the best of health. I had pneumonia, and I was in a hospital for 45 days, and that's why I'm huffing and puffing. But I continue my plight, what I wanted to do. This is dear to my heart. And I'm recuperating, and I think I'll do all right in the long run. But this is one of the closest things to my heart, other than, family matter. Thank you very much, and I hope you see it that way. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Anyone else like to speak in favor? Opposition?
Reverend Sylvester Williams, Jr., 702 Lincoln Way West, and the prestigious Dr. Martin Luther King Drive. So glad that you're looking at making that a city holiday. I rise from my seat to simply say that I'm in agreement with everything that's been said here today about public access, except for the fact that we have also submitted a proposal and a plan to operate public access, which we didn't get a call, we didn't get a letter of notification or any kind of way of perhaps reducing our top lines, which was $300 to run public access, which included internship. I'm rising to my seat to ask for inclusion, that we might be a viable partner with WNIT and WUBS radio station. We already have streaming, which people who can turn on their internet and see valuable programs that will be coming off of access. We have the capability and the camera know-how to make sure that the quality is not substandard to what NIT is producing now. I'm rising to ask for what I'm pretty sure Reverend Rouse would ask for, inclusion of African Americans in this public access. What Regina Brayboy put on the table for inclusion of black people in government and making your decisions. So I rise to say thank you for letting me share this much with you. And of course, I look for working with NIT and putting my programs back in motion as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to speak in opposition? Seeing none, council recommendation for vote.
Can I have a clarification real quick? When we talked about the pie this afternoon, can you come back up for everyone? We talked about the pie. Are you saying working with them or getting funded too?
Absolutely, I believe.
Because that's not, you're talking not clear. And that's why I'm asking, what are we saying? Because the way this bill is specifically done, isn't it going, all the money's going to NIT? And so therefore, if you wanted to get subcontracted on anything, it wouldn't that be a decision of NIT, not us, or what?
It would have to be an agreement, I would think, with WNIT. It would have to be an agreement with WNIT. They're being authorized to manage the...
Yeah. That's the agreement that the two of them will have to work out. Where's NIT? I can't. Yeah, they're right there.
Angel.
Thank you, Angel. All right, you understanding what his concern is? Because this is a...
Yes, I do understand his concern. The proposal that we put on the table was considerably less than what Dr. Sylvester put forth. The reason being that we want to make this as cost-effective as possible to the city. And therefore, we basically have a bare bottom budget that we can put this forth. Sharing revenues or anything like that with another entity would break that budget. What I can assure the Reverend is that definitely there will be black minority involvement in all of our programs, in many of the programs, and this is open to the whole community. So in that sense, there is definitely an agreement on our parts, and I would love to see his programs come on the air, but that would not be up to me. What we're talking about is a community advisory board that would look at the programs and decide which ones are able to meet community standards. But no doubt, the Reverend's programs...
I'm hearing that the programs can be put together on NIT, both of your programs can, but then I'm hearing that the funding that we're authorizing tonight goes 100% to you, and that you will not be able to deviate any pennies of that to WUBS because of the nature of how you have already been at bare bones. Is that correct?
That's correct. If I may explain, I can also talk a little bit on where those funds are going so that you can understand the reason for this. We plan on hiring a manager to manage the program schedule. So that person will be pretty much doing all of the logging, making sure that the programs get scheduled, making sure that everything that the producers, when they come through with ideas and programs, that they get scheduled properly and get produced properly. So it's almost like a programming position.
I got you.
And then on top of that, there's some equipment purchases as well.
I'm a piece of that. One last thing I'll share, and that is maybe our president or our attorney or somebody could answer this question. I am aware of the fact that Reverend Williams did submit a bid to this council a couple of years ago. Was it 2 or 3 years ago? Yes, sir. And he stated that he has not gotten a phone call response or anything else. Could someone clarify why that happened? Why he didn't get anything, information to at least be told that he was not awarded or that we have given to NRT? Because that does send out an interesting message. Could someone please help me out with that?
It's my understanding that the RFP was placed by the Board of Public Works, and perhaps Mr. July or someone...
Mr. July, could you please explain why Reverend Williams was not notified?
Yes, I will explain, but I don't remember off the top of my head from 2 or 3 years ago. I will look up the file and get you an answer. Usually the clerk of the Board of Public Works would send letters to the successful proposer and to everyone who submitted non-winning proposals.
Is there any way that, I'm sure an apology is not necessarily enough to cover your expenses, is there any way that we could have some kind of formal letter sent to him even now to apologize to the fact that this has taken place? Because I know this has been a beef when people submit something and then be awarded, which I'm all in favor of this. Okay, I'm all in favor of it. But it does create nasty taste in people's mouths regarding the kind of business that we have done here, especially in a lot of different comments that were shared tonight.
Not our normal practice. This is the first I'm hearing about it. I will look at the file and I will get back to the Common Council as well as Mr. Williams on that.
And can you please send us an email regarding whatever you send and just notify us so we can have it on record and to CC to Mr. Vorty so the public can have access to that email?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Now, Mr. Scott, could you also, what was the bid? What was the amount, money amount, you know?
Here's what it was. They weren't close. The proposal from WNIT was $85,000. There were a couple other proposals. I believe the one from Mr. Williams was $300,000, as he mentioned.
Okay, I wanted to know the numbers, that's all.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion. Thank you. I appreciate that, Gary. Thank you. Make a motion to vote.
What?
Mr. President.
He makes a motion for adoption? We're done.
May I have one other comment?
Wait, we just had a motion for a vote.
We can allow him one more comment. Go ahead, sir.
Point of order. Come on. We can't be running this like a hodgepodge hour. What's going on? Is we in the middle of a vote or we're not?
It's the council portion.
It's a council portion. So he made a motion for a vote, and so we have to take a vote.
Well,
And he's not in control. He's not in control.
Second on that
Well, I'm saying, but he's not in control of the meeting. It goes back to the president. Come on.
You want to ask the question of Sylvester?
Well,
Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay. We have a motion and a second for adoption. Clerk Vorty.
Okay. Councilmember White.
Aye.
Mr. Furlick.
Aye.
Mr. Scott.
Aye.
Mr. Henry Davis.
Aye.
Mrs. Shea.
Yay.
Dr. Furr.
Aye.
Dr. Burns.
Aye.
Vice President Davis.
Aye.
President Peters.
Aye.
8 ayes, 1 nay.
First reading of 212.
First reading on a bill to vacate the following prescribed property. The first east-west alley north of LaSalle Street, west of St. Peter Street, and the first north-south alley west of St. Peter Street, north of LaSalle Street. The street is described as St. Peter Street running north from the north right-of-way line of LaSalle Street.
Mr. President, the Public Works and Property Vacation Committee had let me get back on this. Mr. President, I suggest that we send this to the Public Works and Property Vacation Committee for 227.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor of that? Aye. Any opposition? Thank you. 312.
First reading on a bill to vacate the following described property. The street to be vacated is a portion of United Drive, also known as Prairie Avenue, from the east right-of-way line of Scott Street to the south right-of-way line of the Norfolk and Southern Railroad overpass. The second portion to be vacated is said United Drive, beginning at the north right-of-way line of said Norfolk and Southern Railroad overpass, thence north to the south right-of-way line of South Street.
Mr. President, I'd like to send 312 to Public Works and Property Vacation Committee for second, third reading and public hearing on 2/27.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of that?
Aye.
Any opposition? May I have a motion to send Bill 1208 and Bill 1209 to zoning and annexation for 2/27.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor of that?
Aye.
Any opposition? May I have a motion to send Bill 1210 to zoning and annexation for 3/12 of 12.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor of that?
Aye.
Any opposition? Any new business before this council?
Councilman, President Dieter, yes, really quick. I want to find out what's going on with the redistricting efforts for the city of South Bend. Lines are being drawn. I'm well aware of precinct lines that have been redrawn. I'm a precinct captain. I have not gotten any notice about anything being redrawn, but they have been redrawn. And I would hate to find out that the second district has been redrawn and Henry Davis was nowhere around. And I would hear from first, second, third, fifth district as well that have that same issue. So what I'm getting at is that we need to find out and have a really valuable conversation about redistricting because we have to do it and we have to approve it because we're the council people. So I don't know where to step off at because this is my first time being involved in redistricting. However, I'm going to ask that Kathy, I know your plate is full. I'm sorry.
It's required to be completed by the city council by the end of this year. And the precinct maps were approved by the county commissioners in November. The county commissioner districts as well as the county council districts were also completed in December. So the next step is for the city council. You have done it various ways over, I hate to say it, I've gone through 3 of these over every 10 years. You have done it by special committee. You have done it as a contest of individuals through the city. Various groups have offered their input, and you have also done it just as a council, having many meetings with proposals. I will be glad to give you a memo on what the guidelines are by state law.
Can you give us also, in regards to that, out of those 3, which of you have found to be the most effective?
And can I also note that Mishawaka, City of Mishawaka has already done this?
It was not passed by the council in December, and it was tabled in January.
For the City of Mishawaka?
For the City of Mishawaka.
Okay, so they have not done this.
They have not.
They haven't reached finality. They haven't reached finality. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm corrected on that. I just thought they were.
Okay. And the second thing, really quick, we're going to have a visitor come in. I'm hosting through my let me just say this. I'm hosting a gentleman that's coming in from Mississippi, Sunflower, Mississippi. He'll be here a week from this coming Thursday. He's traveling in to visit the city of South Bend. He's a part of the Network for Young Elected Officials. He happens to be the youngest mayor in the state of Mississippi. So I thought it'd be great that he come here and he has more of a retirement community. And so what he's going to look at here is a lot of different things that we've done in the second district, meaning LaSalle Square, with some of the public-private partnerships that we have are actually working on, and some of the retirement homes that we have within the second district. But he also will look, of course, to the city as well to see some of the things that are going on. When I go on my trips, obviously I represent the city of South Bend nationally, and a lot of people hear about South Bend and they know about South Bend, obviously because I'm talking about South Bend, because I am from South Bend. So I think it'll be a great opportunity if anyone will be available during the course of his visit. He'll be here for a couple of days to, help out, say hi, shake hands, but definitely show him that, South Bend is a good place to be, and, just say howdy, for the very least. But that'll be, like I said, a week from 23rd, 24th. I think he gets like the 23rd at night, so we'll be doing things all day that Friday, viewing different projects and different things throughout the city. So I just think it'd be good that some of the council people, mayor, if you have something that you would like to do with them, more than happy for you to, participate, just to, show him some good South Bend love. Third.
Go ahead.
Just like to share with the council that I will be sending you all out in the next couple of weeks a summary regarding transpo. I know some have, indicated, when they said, well, you bring in a lot of things about transport to the council. Well, as you stated in our meetings we had earlier in our interviews, that as your representative, I'm supposed to do that. So therefore, you need to know every single thing, and since 4 of the city council people are from the transport board, we have a very vital interest in that matter. So, hopefully we'll be, in our last meeting, the routes have been changed. And what we talked about having is more of a forum where we include members of this council, members of the mayor's staff, the South Bend, members of the mayor's staff of Mishawaka, and the council. They're all 4 bodies, because all 4 entities comprise up the board of Transpo. And so we need to have a transit summit, so we need to discuss this because of issues going on downstate. We probably will be needing to come to the cities for more money in the coming years. And so we're going to have to look at ways that we're going to have creative funding. Again, hopefully we can have that meeting done very soon as your representative. Thank you.
Anybody else? Good. Okay, before we go to privilege of the floor, our instructions were, because we ran late, at the end of this meeting, no one can step upon these steps and come up and talk to the council. The council member wants to talk to you, you come down there. It also includes the press. If you violate that, those officers will kindly escort you out of the room. So again, after the meeting, if a council person comes down to you, that's fine. They will do that. Having said that, anyone wants to talk to us about something that we didn't talk about, which I would be pressed to find tonight, you may go up to that microphone. You would have 3 minutes with your name and address. I think I know what you're talking about, too.
Reverend Sylvester Williams, Jr., 702 Lincoln Way West. I want to advise you that 1 year ago, February the 2nd, a group of ministers converged on this building in the lobby, led by myself, inspired by the Lord, because of an article that was in the Newsweek magazine that you all read and know about, which stated our city was a dying city, not ever likely to live again. The ministers came and we began to speak and pray for our city. It made the local news. Not only did it do that, it made the newspaper. On Thursday, I will give a state of the WBS address, which will include what you didn't hear from the mayor's address, what you didn't hear from the Chamber of Commerce luncheon just a week or so ago. How this city was revived because of that prayer, and what I see as an assessment 1 year later. That'll be happening at 7 p.m. on Thursday. If you'd like to tune in to 89.7 and hear the rest of the story, I encourage you to do that. Love ya.
Anyone else like to speak to the council at this time? Seeing none, we are adjourned. How you get yourself stimulated?